why not? We can add a QR code and they can tag it.
This is what I imagine paint chips like as he runs his big fat mouth. And then when he gets in a real situation, you know he was crying when he got served, right?
I heard.
Yeah.
I heard about it.
He cried when Dinesh had him served.
Yeah.
He literally shed tears.
Yeah.
Shed tears. He cried.
He probably had a temper tantrum
Talk
like a
about
child.
bipolar, my goodness.
He definitely has mental issues. Something wrong with him.
Oh. Scooby-Doo, where are you? By the way, again, I've stated this once already. If he files a motion for combat, we will not disagree. We will not say no. We will say yes, because there is nothing that I think he needs more in his life. It's all about him. It's all about him, right, George? Okay.
Didn't the judge say that it was absurd?
We're not going to disagree. We're waiting for it. We're waiting for it.
I haven't read the...
Better know who your opposition is.
The multiple pages of ridiculousness that he filed. Are we sure it's not in there?
Say what now?
Did he include it in the 40-some pages of ridiculousness?
I don't even know which one you're talking about. There's been so much.
His latest motion.
I don't know. I didn't read it.
It was 40 pages of ridiculousness. I didn't read it either.
I actually have a job. You know, I actually make money.
Yeah, he's too busy taking advantage of the elder.
He's even his own father. Can you believe that?
Sick.
This is how I imagine that bipolar freak. And when he gets served, I'm online. Somebody knows who I am and where I'm at. Okay, let's keep going. Okay.
Okay. Hello, everybody. We are here today, let in with Jeremy Hales from several months ago. That was when Martha was still in the picture. And he was going through a storage unit, and he made some statements that are legally relevant to Fed 2, the lawsuit that's still going on. And he talked about something called trial by combat. And so one of the themes of this show is going to be a bit about the Game of Thrones and trial by combat. And I'm going to get into that. I wrote a story about that the other day, and we'll go through that because it creates, it frames the situation that what Jeremy's trying to do. The breaking news is that Jeremy Hales tries to trademark his own name. Just, I'm going to say that again. Jeremy Hales is trying at this time to trademark his own name. So that means that if anybody says his name, he's going to take you to federal court under the Lanham Act, which he sued a whole bunch of people under the Lanham Act. Some of the people are on this stream right now. And he can say, you said my name, and my name is trademarked, and you said it for commercial purposes. Therefore, you can't say my name. You owe me money. Now, legally, it's about as stupid as you can get. It's one of the stupidest arguments ever. And we're going to go through that today. I'm going to bring on in a bit. I'll bring him on right now, actually, because everybody's kind of here to see him. He's the boss of this thing. There he is. There's the Bearded Fisherman, the H-bomb.
All right.
How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. It's hot out here, but I'm dealing with it, you know.
Yeah, you're up in Connecticut, right?
Yeah, out in good old Meriden, Connecticut, out in the ghetto, you know. But
so we got some fun stuff going on today, and the big news, and I wrote an article about this, was that Jeremy Hales is in the process of trademarking his name. Can you believe that?
it baffles me, man. It really does. How stupid people could be and try to bully other people with stuff like this. It baffles me.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is I'll actually put it up on the screen. I have it here. I'm going to go through the article too. But for everybody, this is actually Jeremy Hales. He filed the trademark for Jeremy Hales. That's the trademark. He's trying to trademark his name. This was received by the United States Patent and Trademark Office, the USPTO. Okay? And look at the date on this, January 15th, 2026. Back in January, he filed his trademark. Do you remember hearing about this trademark at all, Bearded? On any of his lives? Has he been bragging about this?
Nobody said anything about this. But
now, you've known him for a while. You followed him for a while. When he does something in court, doesn't he brag about anything? When he wakes up in the morning, he brags about going to the bathroom. We haven't heard about this. You think that's a little bit strange?
Yeah, with everything, there's a post, derogatory post on his site about everything. But I'm surprised he didn't. All right. He didn't set this one up and show the people.
Yeah. So what we have here is the trademark, and I'll explain it to everybody as we go through the article, but I'll give everybody a brief, overview of what a trademark is. A trademark is something that the government allows in the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Actually, patents and trademarks are in the Constitution itself, and it allows for your intellectual property to be protected. So the most famous trademark, I think, globally probably has to be like Coca-Cola. Like Coca-Cola, the Coca-Cola symbol and the words Coca-Cola with the red and the swirl. That's a trademark of Coca-Cola. Anybody who sees that knows Coca-Cola. You don't have to read English to understand that is a trademark. You could be in the middle of China, you could be in India, you could be in Africa, you can be anywhere in the world, South America, and you see Coca-Cola, the trademark. Another famous trademark is the Nike swoosh, right, Beard? The Nike swoosh?
Yeah, well, even McDonald's and Burger King, they're trademarks around the world.
The golden arches, they're known. There's plenty of trademarks. So what Jern is trying to say is that his own name, right, is something that is worthy of protection, like the Nike swoosh or the Coca-Cola emblem or the McDonald's or the Burger King. That's what he's trying to say, his own name. And so he filed this back in January of this year, January 15th, and he said that his name has been in use since as early as November 19th, 2012, right?
2012. Oh.
Okay, so then what he does is, and I'll put this up on the screen for everybody to see, is he adds a specimen of his trademark. And would you expect the specimen of the trademark to be something special, Bearded? Like McDonald's is pretty special, the Nike swoosh, Coca-Cola. Well, you want to see what his looks like?
Yeah, show me.
Okay, let's do it. All right, come on.
He's not selling any shoes or anything, is he? Is he going to open
No.
a shoe store?
This is the special trademark that's part of his trademark patent application.
That's it.
That's it. He says that black,
Black and white.
bold, all capital Jeremy Hales is something that's worth being trademarkable in the United States. Right? And so
Yeah.
he's saying this so that if you or I or anybody else uses the term Jeremy Hales, prints it, puts it anywhere, he can turn around and try to sue. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point, Helen. That's a very good point. No dollar sign. You would think you put a dollar sign at the end, but there's no dollar sign. It's just Jeremy Hales.
Yep.
So this is what this guy has been trying to do. This is like a retarded type thing that he's really trying to do. He's going to the trademark. But if nobody would have caught this, he would have got his trademark, and they would have given it to him, and then he would run around and he would say, trademark, trademark, trademark. My name is trademarked. You're violating my trademark. You can't use Jeremy Hales, Jeremy Hales, Jeremy Hales. And he would sue people. He's already sued people in Fed 2 and in other places for less. So he would weaponize the trademark system. Right? What are your thoughts?
I think that's crazy, man. It's like that's a way of really bullying people, because how could you do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not Mr. Court guy or Mr. Law guy, but for me to even think about trademarking, like, say, my name, even anybody's name, it's bullshit. It's not a corporation, and it's not an entity. It doesn't mean nothing. But if he gets it trademarked, that's a problem right there. That's a big problem.
So there's and we're going to go through this in a second because it's in the article. There's all sorts of exceptions to the trademark law, and one of the exceptions is that it's for like fair use, right? And the problem is that what we found out is that he'll claim that there's no fair use, and he'll sue people, and then it'll take you 2 years to get a determination that the case gets dismissed. But the punishment is the process, right?
Yeah.
You look at Lisa Lee, you look at Robbie Kesey, you look at Ray Bonecrusher, you look at Marla Hughes, you look at everybody who was in that Fed 2 lawsuit that had to sit on pins and needles, and basically for 2 years. So what the hell's going on? Some had to hire lawyers, and they're going through bad stuff in life. Like Ray Bonecrusher's wife died. He doesn't even add stress of a frivolous lawsuit. But the problem is, the courts don't move quick, and Jeremy Hales hasn't been punished yet. So we're going to go through this, and what I did was I talked about there's the Game of Thrones thing, and I love the Game of Thrones actually, and I got Robert Baratheon and Rhaegar Targaryen, the great battle from the Game of Thrones behind me, Robert's Rebellion. But I figured that Jeremy Hales is just like one character that I can think of in the Game of Thrones. And anybody who hasn't seen the Game of Thrones, we'll go through it, very briefly for you to tell you who this person is, to give you enough to understand. But there's a guy named Theon Greyjoy, right? Theon Greyjoy. And Theon Greyjoy is the person who's the heir to the Iron Islands, and he's this prince. And he struts around like his shit don't stink. And nobody likes him. He didn't grow up in the Iron Islands where he's from. He grew up in Winterfell. He betrayed everybody in Winterfell. The people where he's from don't accept him. And nobody likes him. And he ends up at the point where he gets held by one of the other lords, and they actually chop off his manhood, Michael. He runs around, and he's got nothing down there, and he becomes like a joke. He's a coward. He's a fool, and I think GERM is starting to become that person. He's running around like now he's got this new legal toy. He just kind of discovered trademark law, and I'm going to trademark something, and I'm going to trademark my name, and you won't be able to use it. That's like a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old would say that. What do you think?
I agree with you, big time, and it shouldn't be allowed. I mean, It's not a business, and it's not an entity. He's doing it to get content on his YouTube channel and to make money. Bottom line, that's all this guy's done from day one. And he's getting worse and worse. And I'm just telling you, Jeremy Hales, man, dude, just give all this stuff up, live a clean life, and go on your merry way. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, man. You know? And that's the way I think about it. He's losing his mind. He's losing his mind. I seen him dip a few times, but now he's dipping real big time. You know, I mean, when you're wrong, promptly admit it. It's not hard to do that. It's not hard at all. When I'm wrong, I promptly admit it, no matter how hard it is to admit it. I do. And if a guy like me, an old biker like me, could do that, anybody could do that. And I just look at it that way, Rich. You know, it's like it baffles me how people could go throughout life trying to walk all over people and do this and do that, you know. And I've seen it. I've seen this shit all my whole life, and I'm not up for it. I don't think it's cool at all the way things are going with these nice people like John and Michelle and Harley Grace. Awesome, beautiful family, and I can't wait to meet them in person. You know, you got Lori, you got a bunch of people, nice people. Lisa, you know, Legally Leslie, they're all nice people. Leave them alone, you know? It's not hard. And that's what I got to say about all that, man. You know?
Well, John Cook just said something that's pretty smart. I'll put it back up, actually. He's doing it to weaponize the law system more than he's already doing.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. We hear a lot about weaponized justice, and that's one of the reasons why I cover Jeremy Hales, because he's a microcosm of weaponized justice. When you weaponize the justice system, it becomes a legal media entity. It becomes a circus. It's not what the law is supposed to be. And
it's not North Korea.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to show that when courts allow the weaponization of justice, then they allow the circus to come to town. And we saw it a lot with Trump, you know, and we see it all the time with politics. On what side of the aisle you're on, we're seeing it here now. The creation of content through the law, Parliament. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through this article that I did, and to preface it, we're calling it Germ's favorite toy. And what Germ's favorite toy means is that this is his new favorite toy. He's got a new favorite toy, and that's this trademark that he's actually filed, and that I've actually put a response in. And it says it right here: a trademark is not a gag order. But we know that Jeremy Hales, his MO is to try to stop people from saying the things that he doesn't want to hear. He's trying to stifle speech in America. He's using lawfare to make people to stifle their speech, to make people shut up about him because he doesn't like what they have to say. And in America, you should not be able to use the courts or the government to make people not be able to speak their mind or their opinions. How do you feel about that, Bearded?
It's your First Amendment right. And I think I'm very I think very highly of our rights. I carry a Constitution with me when I go out in the ghetto out here, and believe me, I open my mouth on the streets out here. Believe me, big time. I almost duked it out with a guy the other day. You know, that's our freedom. That's our right to do that. And for somebody to stifle that right, like I said, this is not a communist. The United States is not communism. It's not North Korea. It's not Russia. You know, I'm not getting into politics either, but I mean, look what's going on. Look what's going on with Iran right now. They kill their people. If they talk shit about the government, they just kill them. That's it. Yeah. And so hundreds of thousands of people, I might add. And it's just, we're in the United States, man. We all got to get together and, you know, open our mouths about all this stuff, because he's trying to stifle people and walk all over them. And it's not something that I ever agreed with my life. And like I said, I go out there in the jungle. I call it the jungle, and people have guns, everything else. Maybe I should shut my mouth sometimes, but I just can't sometimes. I just go off on people. Um, that's my character defect.
There you go.
But
But
I work on that every day, But I think, in my opinion, it's crazy. If you ask me, it really is how this is all unwinding, and nobody knew about this. I didn't know about this. I had no clue until you told me a couple days ago.
So I'm gonna tell everybody about this because this is an attack on the free press, and it's an attack on the First Amendment and free speech and the ability to have opinions and the ability to comment. And like you said, taken to its logical extreme, Jeremy wants to shut up his critics. Taken to its logical extreme, you're in an authoritarian place like North Korea, like Iran, like places where you get killed for having the non-approved view. And maybe that works inside Jeremy Hales' cult, and he wants to be part of his cult. He can be part of his cult all he wants, but he can't impose his cult's view on others. And that's the point here. So I'm going to start reading from some of this article for everybody. It's called, the article is Luthmann's coming for Germ's favorite toy. Germ's favorite toy, and we'll watch because it's a double entendre, meaning it has double meaning, because the favorite toy is one of the characters in the Game of Thrones that refers to his junk that got lopped off. But we'll talk about that in a second. There's my note. Jeremy "Germ" Hales wants the public to believe a trademark filing makes him king of his own name. That is delusional. Nobody serious disputes that real trademarks can protect real brands against real imposters. But that is not what this fight is about. This is about whether a publicity-seeking litigant can grab a personal name service mark for commentary and then wave it around against journalists, critics, and defendants who need to identify him by name. Luthmann will never ask permission to say Jeremy Hales. He seeks to remove Germ's favorite new legal toy before he turns it into another lawfare stick. He's employing Game of Thrones imagery to illustrate just how it will go down. This piece is Luthmann is Coming, first available in Florida Gulf News. So I collaborated with Frankie Pressman, Thomas Nast, and myself. So this is when we talk about Reek and Theon Greyjoy. So if you don't know the Game of Thrones, this will give you a bit of a background. Germ, Reek, and the favorite toy. Jeremy Hales, known to critics as Germ, has now wandered into trademark law with the same confused swagger Theon Greyjoy brought to Winterfell before Ramsay Bolton turned him into Reek. For readers who skip Game of Thrones, Theon was the arrogant pretender who talked like a prince, chose the wrong fight, got broken by a sadist, and then spent the rest of the story as a cautionary tale in cowardice, delusion, and lost manhood. The comparison writes itself. And there you go, Bearded. That's Theon Greyjoy, and that is Jeremy Hales. And I am making the comparison in this article between the two of them. Look at the words that I use here. A cautionary tale in cowardice, delusion, and lost manhood. Do those words fit? The arrogant pretender who talked like a prince, chose the wrong fight, got broken by a sadist, and spent the rest of the story as a cautionary tale in cowardice, delusion, and lost manhood. Do you see that? How that could be a parallel? Is that a good parallel, do you think, Bearded?
Yeah. Yeah.
You think he's set for a fall pretty soon, Jeremy?
Yeah, he is. I noticed on his channel he's losing a lot of subscribers and losing a lot of everything on his channels and stuff. I think people are starting to smarten up and get with the program and understand that most of the stuff he has on his channel, I'm not saying the storage stuff and blah, blah, blah. Most of the stuff on his channel is make-believe and for the audience, for them to watch like a General Hospital, like a
soap opera.
One Life to Live, yes. Or almost it's like a wrestling show, like Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. Because
he leaves it at a cliffhanger at the end for everybody to watch his next one, which is smart. It's very smart. All of them do that too. And they feed off of each other, man. If you notice, like, he'll throw out one video and then all of a sudden, like, 10 different people examine that one video, and there's nothing to examine. It's 10 minutes of litigation or whatever, but they drag it on for weeks and weeks. You know, don't you think this has uh, effects on people in their lives and stuff? Don't you think this stresses people out to talk about them and walk all over them? A nice family like John Cook's with Michelle and a beautiful little girl running around. I would give that life up for a heartbeat to live there and have them come here. That's how much, you know, I think of them. They're great people, and it's just it blows my mind how much abuse and stress these people are taking. But they're striding, man. They're tough people, man. They really are. John Cook and Michelle and Harley Grace, they're tough ass people, and I pray for them all the time, Richard, all the time. You know, they're friends of mine, and I just don't like this shit. And with Ray Bone Crusher, when that happened with him,
That's a
that shook me up big time to the core. I was ready to take a plane to Florida, and then the guy says I'm making death threats at him and stuff like that. He said it like 3-4 different times on his shows. I never made one death threat to anybody. I'm the most peaceful guy around, man. I'm about love, and I'm like a hippie in 2026, man. I ain't into that violence and shit. But if I have to defend myself, I will, 150%, and I have before, you know. And but we're grown ass people. I'm a grown ass man. You're a grown ass man. We shouldn't be fighting with our fists. You know, we're too old for this yet.
And that's what he does. He just does this underhanded stuff. So this is what we're going to talk about in the article. And there's German Reek. Reek is the character. I'll explain that real quick for people who didn't watch the series and read the books like I did. I'm like one of these people that loves this stuff. This guy is Theon Greyjoy in the show, the Game of Thrones. But in the book, there was a Theon Greyjoy, and there was also a guy named Reek, who was the person who the Bolton Lord Ramsay Bolton. Reek became the person that he basically tortured and became this little bitch basically. In the movie, or another movie, but the series, they kind of wrote the two characters together. So Theon Greyjoy and Reek kind of become the same person, but they're two in the book. So both Germ and Reek became signals of damaged bravado, noisy, insecure, delusional, and missing important pieces. Reek lost his pride, and he also lost his manhood. Germ lost the plot. And now, like Theon clutching the sad relic of what he thought made him powerful, Hales appears to have found his favorite toy, a trademark theory he thinks will terrify critics into silence. And that's the point. We haven't heard anything about this trademark theory yet, and I'll tell everybody how I discovered it in a second. But the trademark theory, he put it in January, and Jeremy Hales talks about everything else from the rooftops, but he won't talk about this. I'm going to play this short video from Game of Thrones, so you can give an idea as to who the character is, Theon Greyjoy, and what happened to him, so you can understand the comparison a little bit better to Jeremy Hales. Now, Bearded, let me know that the audio is playing on the video.
All right, I gotta hang on. I turned my TV.
Favorite toy. He cried when I took it away from him.
That's working. It's good.
This is mercy. I'm not killing you, just making a few alterations.
So that scene is, two scenes put together. This guy, the crazy guy, Ramsay Bolton, the sadist, detaches this Theon Greyjoy's member, and then he sends it in a box back to his father and his sister, letting them know. Well, it's the same type of intimidation that we get from Germ. And it says, we will not be intimidated by Germ. And I'm not going to be intimidated by Germ. Germ already had his clean shot. He agreed to trial by combat with Richard Luthmann as alternative dispute resolution. That was the moment. No more docket fog, no more lawfare theater, no more running into court with Randy Pocket Rocket Shocket, holding the flashlight and billing by the 10th of an hour. Hales talked big. Luthmann accepted. And then GERM started looking for paper shields and new legal toys before he tried to jump ship. We opened up with this. This is him saying, file the paperwork. We'll accept trial by combat. But he's run away from it. Jeremy Hales does not want to fight me. And if he did fight me, he'd be in a lot of trouble because I would beat the ever-living crap out of him. You know, and that's the thing. I've been training, actually, Beard. I was telling you, I didn't tell everybody yet, but I've been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the last little bit. And so I'm getting myself into shape in order to beat this guy down. I'm planning for a trial by combat alternative dispute resolution with Jeremy Hales because he, on his honor, said, okay, let's do this. And then he pulled the rug out like a weasel. So either I'm preparing for honor, I'm preparing for the honorable thing, trial by combat, or he's going to be a weasel forever. And I think we know which way it's going to go. He's a weasel. And that's why we have to play with him in some of these weasel ways. So back to the article. Luthmann accepted, then started looking for paper shields and new legal toys before he tried to jump ship. And I made a nice little video of GERM jumping ship. I'll play that forever. So he jumped ship, and we'll get into that later. But he thinks this trademark's going to save him, right, Bearded? He thinks that he gets this piece of paper, and all his problems are going to be done. In Game of Thrones terms, the visual is irresistible. Ramsay Bolton's flayed man banner was supposed to frighten cowards into obedience, but in the court of public opinion, Luthmann walking into trial combat with a Robert Baratheon warhammer would make that flay man look like a polite warning label. And for you, Jeremy, that's a metaphor, not choreography, not yet anyway. If you accept, you know what you're going to get, the Warhammer. And there's Luthmann as Baratheon with the Warhammer. The point is simple. Hales prefers the performance of battle to its consequences. And now comes the trademark pacifier. GERM apparently believes that if he trademarks his name, brand, or whatever scraps of the Halesverse identity he can shove into a government form, critics and journalists will suddenly lose their right to say Jeremy Hales, What the Hales, Elephant Shoe, Fed to, or GERM. GERM believes that once trademarked, he will finally own his name and that no one will be able to use it without him getting paid. That's not the law. That is Reek mistaking a broken toy for a royal scepter. And so that's where we are with this. And so the point in that first section is Jeremy Hales is delusional, right? He thinks that he can trademark his name, and he thinks he can stop people from talking about him with a trademark. The next part, we'll talk a little bit about what trademark law is. And I know people have questions about what trademark law is, okay? And the trademark law is very specific. The point of trademark law is not complicated unless someone is determined to misunderstand it for litigation content or polymop. A trademark protects source identifiers in commerce. It helps prevent consumers from being confused about who made, sponsored, endorsed, or sold a product or service. That is the lane. That is the castle. That's the whole kingdom. It's not a gag order, a restraining order, a personal reputation force field, or an emergency bunker for an influencer who got called out in public, like Jeremy Hales, right? Sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you unless you're GERM. For GERM, he says the words hurt. So the Lanham Act, we talked about that before. That was in Fed 2. That was the basis for the Fed 2 and all the people that have been dismissed. This claim was dismissed from Fed 2, which is Jeremy Hales and Elephant Shoe versus Michelle Preston and others. The Lanham Act is the federal trademark statute codified in 15 U.S.C. 1051 and sequential. The false designation, false advertising, and dilution provisions are found at 15 U.S.C. 1125. Nothing in the statute gives Hales ownership over public discussion about himself. Nothing in it lets him trademark his way out of criticism. Nothing in it turns journalism into infringement because GERM feels wounded. Think about that, Mike. Could he go to the court and say, these people said very, very distressing things about me. Court, please make them shut up. We have a First Amendment, don't we?
Yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. Who gave him this idea to do this to begin with? That's the question.
I think this is the idea for Fed 2. And when he lost in Fed 2 because of the Lanham Act, because he had no trademark, I think they decided, let's go do a trademark so that we have a trademark in place. And this is before the case was dismissed. He put it in January, I think, hoping that the case would get into discovery, and then he could show that he had a trademark in place and try to, bootstrap that and slip one past the goals.
What happens if there's another Jeremy Hales in the United States? I'm sure there's tons of them, and they use that name.
What happened in the trademark, and I'll get into it, is that there's a whole docket, and one of the docket entries was Jeremy Hales filed the consent. He identified himself as Jeremy Hales, and he filed a consent for the trademark to them to use his name. So under trademark law, it only matters who's first. There's the legal concept called first in time, first in right. So you could have, Jeremy Hales. You could have 50 Jeremy Haleses. As long as the first one comes in and says you have consent, then usually that's all that matters. Okay. But if there's very specific people, like there are probably, more than one Michael Jordan in the country. So there's the Michael Jordan and there's other Michael Jordans. The court would they'd have to do some inquiry beyond it if a Michael Jordan showed up that wasn't the Michael Jordan on a Michael Jordan trademark. But generally, if you get there, you're the first person and you consent to your name being used, you can trademark it if there's no objection. And that's the big point, if there's no objection.
Right.
Here's what it's supposed to be there for. If someone sells fake What the Hales merchandise while pretending to be Hales, that might raise a real trademark issue. If someone creates a counterfeit Jeremy Hales channel to trick consumers into believing they are dealing with Hales, that might raise a real trademark issue. But if a journalist writes about Jeremy Hales, criticizes Jeremy Hales, mocks Jeremy Hales, covers Jeremy Hales' lawsuits, or identifies Jeremy Hales as the man who talked up trial by combat before ducking the consequences, that is not trademark infringement, that is speech. There's Martha. She was in the picture. Did anybody ever trademark George? I think they tried to. They might have. We'll see. GERM's problem is not that critics are stealing his brand. His problem is that critics are naming him accurately enough for the public to understand the story. And that's fatal to his scheme. Think about that. He's saying these people are identifying me. Of course we're identifying you. That's what journalism is. That's what commentary is. We're talking about you. And when you talk about somebody, you're allowed to identify who they are. Trademark law protects against consumer confusion. It does not protect Jeremy Hales from being discussed by people who know exactly who he is. Think about that. So, legal reality. So we're talking about the law now real quick, okay? And then it's something called fair use. This is where the legal reality blows up on GERM's magic trick. This is him trying to trademark his name. That's the magic trick. Where the magic trick collapses in GERM's hands. Critics and journalists can use his name because they're identifying the subjects of criticism, reporting, and commentary, litigation, and public controversy. That doctrine, commonly called nominative fair use, exists for that reason. It's fair use. When Lisa Lee goes on and puts on that fair use thing on her show, that's what she's referring to, fair use, okay? And so that's what we're talking about here. Okay, let's go a little more. If the subject of the story is Jeremy Hales, the writer may say, Jeremy Hales. If the subject is What the Hales, Elephant Shoot, Fed 2, Randy Shockett, Trial by Combat, or Hales courtroom campaigns against critics, the writer may identify the people, brands, cases, and entities involved. The law does not require journalists to speak in riddles. And there's Jerm in his little dungeon that he's created for himself. And there's the other guy who got his member removed. He lost his favorite toy. No one has to refer to GERM as a certain storage unit YouTube princeling with a litigation addiction and a less than pocket-sized legal cannon or a mushroom. We can say Jeremy Hales because Jeremy Hales is the subject. That's not infringement. That's basic identification. And there's a very famous case, Michael. Remember the New Kids on the Block?
Oh, yeah.
The class of fair use case. is New Kids on the Block versus News America Publishing. What were you about to say?
There's still one left in Florida. He lives on the beach. He's a real prick. I watched a video about that. Those kids, the Jug Squad, went on a beach in Florida and fucked with that guy. Excuse my language. A guy from New Kids on the Block, and he's a real prick, I guess. Yeah, I remember those guys, man. I remember all those boy bands and shit. I grew up with that stuff, you know.
The core point is simple. Sometimes there's no practical way to discuss the thing without naming the thing. GERM cannot become the Mad King with a trademark filing, lopping the head off anyone with the nerve to utter his special words. People are still allowed to say the name. That is how reporting works. That is how criticism works. That is how language works when it has not been kidnapped by the Halesverse. And here's the imp of the Halesverse, right? And she's the spin doctor. She's the spin doctor, the imp of the Halesverse.
Scared me for a minute there.
Yeah, she's the spin doctor, and she was a reporter before, so she should know how this stuff works. And I'd be very, very interesting to see what she says about Jeremy Hales trying to trademark his own name, being a reporter and all, or a former
Richard, they all know right from wrong. They all know what they're doing is wrong, but they have to keep the facade going. They got to keep it going, keep it rolling. None of these people have enough balls to come out and talk bad about this guy. That's all it is on all these channels. He's like the best thing since sliced bread all the time. All these guys, but that's because they worship him, man. And it's a sad world when you could worship a guy like that. It really is, man. You should be worshiping God, not another man, not a cult. Nothing like that. I've been following this story for a long, long time, man. I was homeless when I was following this story 6 years ago. And I remember everything about this whole story, man, and it makes my heart drop, man. How mean somebody could be harassing people for this long period of time and not held accountable for it, you know? But I think it's I think accountability is coming real soon. I really do. From what
the point is right there. The truth doesn't make them money, right? Yeah. If they had to tell the truth, they wouldn't make any money.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yep.
They're merchants of lies.
They feed off each other too, all of them.
Yeah. So here's the nitty gritty for people that want to know. The Hales trademark fantasy collapses even faster when the statute is read instead of used as a prop. Section 1125C is the federal dilution provision, and it expressly excludes fair use, including use of a mark to identify, parody, criticize, or comment upon the mark owner or that owner's goods or services. It also excludes nudity reporting, news commentary, and non-commercial use. So anybody could go on to any social media platform, any internet website, anywhere, and talk about Jeremy Hales and comment about Jeremy Hales, say how they feel about him, identify him, parody him, criticize him, and comment upon him, and you're fine. This is not meant to be able to control your use of language. That means that GERM cannot turn trademark law into private censorship franchise, to a private censorship franchise, just because he dislikes being criticized. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to make a private censorship franchise. A writer may use his name to identify him. A commentator may use his brand to discuss his channel. A journalist may report on his litigation. A critic may mock his content. A defendant may identify the plaintiff suing him. That's not infringement. That is reality with nouns. See, Jeremy, reality. This is the part that GERM cannot meme away. The law is not a vibe, a live stream chant, or a chat mob in matching digital helmets. Trademark law protects the marketplace from confusion. It does not protect Jeremy Hales from the consequences of Jeremy Hales being discussed by people who watch the Halesverse try to turn Florida state and federal courts into a content farm. So that's where you have it. And this next portion is going to show everybody what he did legally and what somebody else could do. Because I did this. This is what I did. I'm going to just show everybody what I did to stop Jeremy Hales from trademarking his own name. And they say here, Luthmann is coming and winter is here for GERM's trademark. And that, if you've watched Game of Thrones, the famous line from Game of Thrones, probably the most famous line, is "Winter is coming." And what does that mean? That's the motto of House Stark, the people from the north, and they are always preparing for winter. They live in a very, very cold, frigid climate, and in that book, winters can last 2 and 3 years at a time. So, winter is coming. Always prepare yourself for the worst case scenario, for things, for lean times. And I am winter for Jeremy Hales and this cockamamie trademark scam, which he tried to slip past the goalie like a thief in the night. Now, I'm going to make this notice to everybody. This section's informational in nature. It's not to be construed as professional advice of any sort. I'm not telling anybody to do what I did. I'm telling everybody what I did. I'm telling anybody to do this. If you want to go out and do it yourself, it's a free country. But I'm not telling anybody to do anything here. Here's the part that GERM probably did not explain to the Halesverse. The trademark is not registered yet. It is sitting in the opposition window. This is important, which means the drawbridge is still down and the public can still walk into the United States Patent and Trade Office, the USPTO, and the Trademark Trial and Appeal Board, TTAB, and object, right? This is all the information you need to know to object, because this is what I did. The application is a U.S. serial number 99597033 for Jeremy Hales, published in the Trademark Official Gazette on June 23rd, 2026, for a Class 41 entertainment services, specifically providing webcasts in the field of commentary. That's what he's claiming Jeremy Hales is a trademark of. Jeremy Hales means providing webcasts in the field of commentary, right? This is his filing. That's the number. This is right from the patent website. You go in there yourself. He paid $350, right? And he has a patent attorney that's representing him. And the $350 is the filing fee. And he's claiming 41 entertainment services, providing webcasts in the field of commentary, at least as early as 11/19 of 2012. But he said that this is 14 years old, that he's been doing this for 14 years. His name has been specifically providing webcasts in the field of commentary. And he identifies Jeremy Hales, a living individual whose content to register is made of record. So see this here, written consent to use a person's name. He filed a consent because he's a living person who uses his name. This is what he's trying to trademark. See that, Bearded?
Yeah.
He's trying to trademark his name. That's the specimen of what he's trying to trademark. It's not a Nike swoosh. It's not a Coca-Cola. It's not a McDonald's. It's not a Wendy's. This is what he's trying to trademark. He's trying to trademark his name so that when anybody else uses his name, writes his name, discusses his name, he's going to say, oh, they're trademark infringing. That's crazy. It's crazy. So what do you think, Bearded?
I think that it is crazy, but what does he want to do? Let's just say he did get it trademarked. And you know what? It's a moneymaker. I see it as a moneymaker. I really don't see it. I mean, you really think that all the names and everything people say about him really bothers him? Or do you think that he's just doing it for content? There's a line right there. I mean, what do you think?
I think he's doing it for content, but I think it does bother him. I think he's got thin skin. I think he's like a little narcissist, and
right.
Anything he says about him it drives him crazy. And the fact is, he's like a bit of a cult leader too. His whole group is like a cult of Jeremy Hales' personality. So when he doesn't get his way, it's amplified by his narcissism and amplified by that in his group. He's not used to getting his way. He always gets his way because he's the cult leader. And so that's the problem. That's the issue. So he has two things going. His narcissism takes over, and he gets angry at the smallest things. Number one. And number two, his cult leader personality takes over. And, he has to try to punish those who go against him to reinforce the cult. These are all my opinions, obviously, and they'll probably come out in litigation because these are litigation privileged. But it is what it is. Okay, so why is this important? The publication starts a 30-day clock. So that's publication. We said publication in the Gazette up here. See where it says here? Where does it say? Publication in the Gazette. was June 23rd. So the extension is due. You have a 30-day clock to file an objection or an extension by July 23rd, 2026. So here's the point for everybody out there. I did this, but any human being who believes they're damaged by registration can go online and file either a notice of opposition or, more practically, a request for extension of time to oppose. You can do that right now. You can go online right now to these links and get a 30-day extension for free. There's no filing fee. There's nothing. And it buys you 30 days to figure out what you want to do. So you could ask for your extension to be 30 days from July 23rd to August 23rd. By that time, you can decide one of several things. One, this is what I decided. One, either I'm going to get a lawyer by then, and the lawyer is going to represent me before the Patent and Trademark. Second, I'm going to get my own extension, an additional extension, a 90-day extension, to prepare a full objection, right, to Jeremy Hales's thing. That's another way to do it. Or I could just file, before August, I could file the objection itself. I'm probably going to, I might file the objection, but I might just file for the extension. Now, the 30-day extension costs $0. The 90-day extension costs $200. And then the filing itself, when you file the objection, that costs money too. So it depends on how far you want to go with this. But I feel that I am damaged, right, by Jeremy Hales registering his name, because he's going to use it as a sword and a shield. He's going to use it to try to hurt people. He's not using it to protect himself. And so this is what I did. The first safe move is the 30-day extension. Buys time, filed electronically. The patent office and the TTAB filings and extensions are filed electronically. And here are the filings, right? You can go in here, and it's right there. The first thing you do is you search the serial number. That's right here, right? 99597033. That's GERM's patent or his trademark application. Then you're going to file, what I did was I filed a request to extend the time and oppose the notice, to oppose the trademark filing. The 30-day extension is free. The 90-day extension costs $200. The 30-day extension is the cleanest opening shot. And, regular common sense. Do not wait until the last minute. Don't file garbage. Don't make wild fraud claims without evidence. That's what GERM does. Okay? It's just general common sense. If you're going to go to the federal government like I did and ask them for an extension, then do it the right way. And here's a sharp exemption. Here's my sharp exemption. GERM cannot use personal name service mark for commentary as a fear weapon against critics, journalists, and commentators who must identify him by name to report on him. You could even say something like this. Potential opposer, Richard A. Luthmann, Jr., requests a 30-day extension of time to oppose application serial number 99597033 for the mark of Jeremy Hales. Potential opposer is a journalist, publisher, and commentator who reports on Jeremy Hales and the related public controversies. Potential opposer requires additional time to review the application, prosecution history, specimen, claimed use in commerce, and potential grounds for opposition, including whether the applied for personal name function serves as a service mark for the identified class 041 commentator webcast services, and whether registration may damage potential opposers' lawful reporting, commentary, criticism, and nominative use of the name Jeremy Hales. And that's exactly what I did. I filed, and here's my receipt, 7/7, 2 days ago, in the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and I don't want to put my name on this so they don't put it out, but you can know that I put my name and my address there, and it's clear, it's open in the document. It's against Jeremy B. Hales. He's the applicant. There's his number. He filed on 1/15, and then we'll go down, and I have all my stuff here. And I have 30-day extension of time, right? And I have until 8/22/2023 to file an opposition, right? Or I could file for the 90-day extension. And then within hours of that, what did I get? I got back something from it, and this is the United States Patent and Trademark Office Trademark Trial and Appeal Board, right? Alexandria, Virginia. And I got this back July 7th. 99597033. The request to extend time to oppose is granted until 8/22/26 on behalf of potential opposer Richard A. Luthmann Jr. Please don't hesitate to contact the Trademark Trial and Appeal Board if you have any questions. If you want to rely on this extension, your account must have the same email address. If you change, you have to change. Okay, so that's good. Now, what do you think about that, Bearded?
I don't know. It is good, I guess. It's just it slows them down for now, you know, and then make decisions on what to do. And it is free. That's pretty cool. I wonder, could I do it on an iPhone? I'm just joking.
Yeah, you could do it on, as long as you have internet access, you can post that. If you decide to do that yourself,
Yeah,
you can do this. So
I'll give you an answer now. Also, I think maybe it's good, but I think maybe it's bad. But it could be good, but it could be bad. I don't know what to say. What do you think? Oh, I don't know. Oh, yeah, it could be bad or could be good. I'm just making a parody of all the other shows of how they answer questions and they talk to each other, like on the Coop channel. They don't know what they're talking about, and they keep on saying, "Oh yeah, it could be or could not be," but I don't know if that's the truth. But it might be. I mean, all these channels seem to be walking on eggshells for this guy. I don't know if you noticed that. I have. And
well, Scampy Girl put a good question up there. Did JH get notification that your request was granted? Well, JH did not get direct notification, but his lawyer did. He hired a patent and trademark lawyer to file this for him.
Yeah.
So the fact that the trademark lawyer has to deal with this, he probably sent GERM an email or notice that there was an objection. And if anybody else files an objection or an extension to file an objection, then that patent and trademark lawyer is going to get a notice as well from the court. And so GERM will know about that from everybody. And I guarantee you that lawyer is not doing it for free. So every time somebody, sometime of an email comes through, probably charging Jeremy for everyone that goes through. So I bet you he billed him for, reading the notice from the court and then informing him. Yeah. And if 5 other people or 50 other people or 500 other people will file objections, I bet you that trademark lawyer might be billing for each and every one of those too. You never know. That's how lawyers work. I used to be one, so I know kind of like lawyers like to bill. What do you think about that?
I got a question for you. Say, for instance, you filed and everything slowed them down for 30 days for now. And but let's just say I did that as well in 10 days. Does that slow them down 30 days from that day? Or
no, the way that if you saw what I wrote, and I'll go back to it real quick.
You know what I'm saying, right?
I'll show you what I did. See, my thing is granted until 8/22/2026. I asked for my extension to start from the end of the statutory period. So the end of the period was 7/23. I got 30 days from that. So everybody who puts this in should get to August 22nd, 2026. And what does that mean? It does slow him down. Okay, it does slow him down because if nobody objected, the magic date on this would have been July 23rd, 2026. Why? Because there's no objections received that day. Then they put it into the queue to issue the trademark. And usually it's like clockwork. 11 weeks later, okay, less than 3 months later, Jeremy Hales would be waving around a trademark for his name. So July, so that's August, September, October. So by early October, Jeremy Hales would be coming on to his YouTube announcing that he's ready to sue everybody who uses his name because his name is now trademarked. Okay.
Now it makes a lot of sense why he didn't say anything about it. It makes a lot of sense.
By doing this filing, okay, let's say I do nothing else. August 22nd, right? That date happens, and the 23rd comes, nothing else gets filed, and you count 11 weeks, 3 months. So September, October, November. So by the middle of November, okay, he'll have his trademark. So we at least delayed him a month from harassing people with a BS trademark, okay? But I'll tell everybody what my intention is. I intend to go in and I intend to actually file the full notice and the full objection to his trademark because I'm a journalist and I believe the press needs to be protected from this type of malarkey. And this next part that I'm going to talk about, okay, is very important because it shows a pattern of behavior. And this pattern of behavior is going to be put before the board for the trademarks, the Trademarks Trial and Appeals Board. Fed 2 already showed the pattern. Fed 2 is not internet folklore. It is Hales versus Preston, 1:25 CV 00058 in the Northern District of Florida, Gainesville Division. That case matters because it showed the pattern before GERM ever started waving his new trademark toy around. Hales and his company, Elephant Shoe LLC, dragged critics into federal litigation that looked less like clean legal redress and more like punishment by process. Right? Bearded, that's pretty true, right? Do you think Marla Hughes should have had to go through that? Do you think that Ray Bonecrusher should have had to go through what they did? Lisa, Robbie, Milltown's Best Super Dave, everybody that got that's in the case. You think they should be dragged in? It's punishment by process, right?
Yeah.
The case began with Hales suing 10 people. The amended complaint later added Richard Luthmann. The amended complaint contains 16 counts, including malicious prosecution, tortious interference, civil conspiracy, Florida statutory claims, deceptive trade practice, and false advertising under the Lanham Act. That's the Trademark Act. This is not spin. This is what the federal court's public record says. Hales and Elephant Shoe put the Lanham Act directly into Fed 2. So I can very easily take this case and send the case to the trademark bureau, the Trademark Trial and Appeals Bureau, like the order signed by these judges. The Trademark Bureau has to take that into account when a federal judge makes an order. That history matters because the Lanham Act did not become GERM's magic anti-critic sword in Fed 2. The case moved through a pile of dismissal practice. On April 24th, the clerk entered judgment pursuant to the court's order dismissing all claims against John Cook, Bruce Matskin, Lisa Lee, Marla Hughes, Patty D'Agostino Plummer, David Helm, and Robert Kesey, David Mitchell Tessendorf, and Raymond G. Bonebreak Jr. with prejudice for failure to state a claim on what relief can be granted. The same docket states that Judge Robert Hinkle granted leave for the third amended complaint against the two remaining defendants to directly entry of judgment against other defendants. And I got a nice picture of Robbie Kesey on a dragon. He's playing with a reptile. That's what I say. So everybody can tell Robbie I made a very, very nice picture of him.
That's for you, Robbie.
That's for Robbie. You like that picture? That's a good picture. I'll go back.
I love that picture.
It's a nice picture. Yeah.
Hey, you like my picture?
I think Robbie looks good in that picture. That's a really good picture.
Yeah,
what do you think? What does the audience think about Robbie's picture? You think Robbie looks good in that picture? I think he looks good as a dragon rider. I think he should be riding dragons around. I think he should get
ditched. If you like the picture, put one up. If you like the picture of Robbie.
I think that he should ditch the truck and he should ride dragons to his outcalls.
Yeah,
you see him in the truck. How cool would he be riding a dragon to go to the place?
Be great. He could actually, the way technology's going today, man. In another year or so, he'll be able to just jump in a drone and fly around Florida and catch those damn alligators, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The drones.
He can get a dragon drone. He'll be the dragon rider.
Yeah. That'll be great.
A lot of people are liking this. A lot of people are putting ones up.
And the horn for it has to say, all right. The horn. When he hits the horn.
A lot of ones.
Yeah. Show him my picture, man. They probably already seen it.
I think his hat is too big. That's true. Yeah, I think we'll do another one. Maybe we'll do a series of Robbie riding dragons. That's cool. Actually pretty funny. Got a lot of ones. A lot of ones.
Oh yeah.
So
hey, you're a popular guy. I told you that, man. I'm not part of the popular crowd, man. So
all right. Plain English, Hales already tried broad litigation warfare. That's what it is, lawfare, litigation warfare, against critics, including Lanham Act theories, and a large part of that machine got thrown out with prejudice. That is why the pending Jeremy Hales trademark application deserves scrutiny. Hales is not approaching trademark law like an ordinary business owner trying to stop counterfeit merchandise. If there was somebody out there counterfeiting Jeremy Hales sweatshirts and T-shirts, I would be the first person to agree with him that it's theft. That's right. He should have the right to his ability to make money off of his brand. Nobody's going to argue with that. If Bearded wants to sell T-shirts that say Bearded Fisherman, he should be able to do that too. Nobody should be able to counterfeit.
I will be soon.
But that's not it. That's not what he's trying to do. He's arriving with a litigation history. He has already tried to convert online criticism, commentary, and public dispute into federal claims, including a Langham Act false advertising theory. Now, Hales seeks registration of his personal name, Jeremy Hales, for a Class 41 entertainment services, namely providing webcasts in the field of commentary. That is the same battlefield: speech, commentary, public identification, and online criticism. The concern's not theoretical, it's grounded in the record. If Hales gets a registration and then waves it around against journalists, critics, and commentators or defendants who use his name to report on him, Fed 2 already tells the public what the next move may look like. The legal point is simple. Calling criticism confusion does not make consumers confused. Calling commentary unauthorized use does not turn journalism into counterfeiting. Calling a critic's accurate reference to Jeremy Hales a trademark problem does not make it one. And that's the point. He's using the law in the way the law should not be used. And this is a big problem for him. So let's see what we got here. This is good. Okay, we'll go to the next part.
Question for you. Do you actually need a lawyer to do this, or could you do this on your own?
No, nobody needs a lawyer to do what I did. I went on to the website, and it's free to go on the website. And the links are in the article. You go right into the website. You put in the number that's in the article, like I did. And then you go in and you can ask for an extension of 30 days.
Yeah.
And then it'll get it, and they'll grant you an order that says you had a 30-day extension on Jeremy Hales's trademark. And you can decide what you want to do in the next 30 days, right?
But after that 30 days, you do not need a lawyer. On your own, by yourself. That's what I'm probably going to do. By myself, file something else. That requires a filing fee at that point. The filing fees vary. The extension is a $200 filing fee. There are other filing fees. So that's where it can get expensive. But the best thing to do, if you don't know what you want to do, if you don't know if you want to hire a lawyer, is to preserve your rights. That's what I did. I put in an extension because I could decide to hire a lawyer. I could decide to do it myself. I could decide to put it in immediately in August. I could decide to get another extension so I could do further research because it's a very complex topic. I don't know what I don't know at this point. That's why I filed the extension. I have to spend some time doing research. And the law allows you to do that. And the Patent and Trade Office allows you to do that. So I think that anybody that feels that their free speech, if you're out there and you feel that your free speech may be stifled by Jeremy Hales, you have to decide for yourself whether you want to do what I did. I put in a request for an extension so that I could potentially protect my free speech rights in front of the United States Patent and Trade Commission and ask them to deny Jeremy Hales the ability to trademark his name because it will stifle my ability to be a journalist, to comment on Jeremy Hales, to identify Jeremy Hales. And additionally, there's a history that Jeremy Hales uses trademarks or the threat of trademark litigation improperly and for an improper purpose with respect to the statute, the trademark statutes. So I'm going to talk about all that. You could do that too if you wanted to, Bearded. But the first step is to protect yourself. You can file if you want. You can file it at any time you want. Okay. That's I knew I could file, or anybody could file. I just didn't know the status of the lawyers because I just have a bad taste in my mouth for lawyers. You know, I always did.
Yeah, well, what could happen is let's say if 10 people filed objections, 10 people could get together and hire the same trademark lawyer or any lawyer admitted before the Patent and Trademark Office to file an opposition, to file a lawyer opposition.
The ball's in his court now, basically. You know,
once you file the opposition, the ball is in his court to prove it, and I say that in here when it comes up. Let me get into this. We'll get into that. You can raise that point when we get to it. Luthmann's coming. The TTAB, the Trademark Trial Appeals Bureau objection is the firewall. That's why the TTAB objection is not a stunt. It is a substantive response to risk, backed by pattern recognition. Fed 2 already showed how the Hales machine can try to convert criticism, controversy, and commentary into federal litigation. Now the same battlefield reappears in trademark clothing, with Jeremy Hales presented as a service mark for webcasts in the field of commentary. For a journalist who covers Hales, the danger is obvious. A registration can become a paper weapon in takedown demands, threats, nuisance claims, even where the law does not support censorship. Think about that. He'll go to YouTube, he'll go to Facebook, he'll go to Substack, he'll go to all these places and say, I'm Jeremy Hales. I have a valid trademark on my name. This person's mentioning it. Take down these articles. Think about that. And not just the articles that I write in the future, the articles I've written in the past. He's trying to do revisionist history. He's trying to do 1984. He who controls the past controls the future. He controls the present, controls the past. So he's trying in the present to get a non-valid legal piece of paper that he's going to trick people into doing what he wants to stifle speech. That is that's the danger here, right? The TTAB does not exist to bless future misuse, and that's what his intent is, I believe. If Jeremy Hales is merely the name of a person appearing in or being discussed in online content rather than true source identifying service mark, registration should fail. And there he is, and this is what's going to happen. I did a little video on this too.
No, please, it's mine. This will protect me. You can't take it. It's legal. It's mine.
So that's what it. Luthmann's coming. I'm coming for this trademark because it's not a valid trademark. And I talk about it here. This is all the work is right here. If anybody wants to say anything about this, if GERM wants to say anything about this, if his people want to say anything about this, and that's what happens. They can come on and they have to answer these points. It's not Luthmann bluster. It's not that I don't know what I'm talking about. And I put the actual places. If you want to go on to this and read what the law says, right? If you want to read what the administrative law says, what the rules say, right? Basic trademark law. TMEP section 1202 requires a mark to function as a trademark or service mark and recognizes a refusal where wording fails to indicate source. 904 and the specimen rules require actual use of the mark in commerce with the identified services. A YouTube page bearing a person's name may show the person's online, but it does not automatically service use mark. What Jeremy's arguing is this. This is the point in a nutshell. He's had a page that says Jeremy Hales since at least 2012 or so, right? He's saying he's had it for almost 15 years. That does not automatically so that it should be a trademark or a service mark, right? It doesn't automatically give him the protection. He has to prove it. And that's what you said before, Bearded. He bears the burden of proof.
Yeah.
Right? He bears the burden of proof. And this isn't Rich Luthmann saying this. This isn't Bearded Fisherman from the Northeast saying this.
The law.
This is the Supreme Court of the United States.
Yeah.
KP Permanent Makeup Inc. versus Lasting Impression 1 Inc. The plaintiff must prove the trademark claim. Critics do not lose nominative, descriptive, journalistic, critical, and non-commercial protections because GERM weighs a paper. Luthmann has substantial authority, a concrete journalistic interest, and a fact pattern showing why the application should be treated with suspicion. Fed 2 already showed the pattern. The dismissed claims already showed the weakness. The pending trademark application now shows the next move. GERM keeps searching for a magic legal object that will make critics disappear. I challenge Jeremy Hales or any of his supporters to say anything different and prove me wrong. Prove me wrong that you aren't trying to make a magical legal object to make criticism disappear. Prove me that there's a reasonable good faith basis for the filing of this trademark that's not the continued harassment that we saw in Fed 2 and in Fed 1 and in all these Levy County cases and in bankruptcy court and everywhere else in Ohio and everywhere else where Jeremy Hales is a litigant and most of those joined by Randy Shockett as his lawyer. I challenge you people. I challenge you just like I challenged Hales to trial by combat and he ran away. I challenge you to prove me wrong. Trial by combat with Jeremy Hales did not work because he ducked, because he's basically a fraidy cat. Fed 2 did not work because law and facts matter. The Lanham Act did not work because criticism is not confusion, and this trademark application should not work if the Trademark Trials and Appeals Bureau applies the ordinary rules requiring real service mark function, proper use, and registrability. All things being equal, the law and the rules say that he's out. Winter's not coming because Luthmann says so. Winter is coming for GERM because the law is already standing at the gate. I challenge you people. I challenge you. Piglet, I challenge you. Tug, I challenge you. Shizzy No Nuts, I challenge you. Mr. Kook, I challenge you. You know, the rest, I don't even know the rest of the people. Whoever you are. But make a live and talk about this. Tell me why Luthmann is out of his friggin' mind. Tell him how Luthmann is detached from reality. Luthmann is beyond belief. He's out of he's just saying crazy crap that doesn't mean a thing. And so, what do you think about that, Beard? Do you think that I'm right to challenge these people?
Not at all. But you know what? They're going to try to twist this around regardless. So I mean, they're gonna like, you know what I'm saying? They're just going to twist all this around to make them look good. But you know what? You're telling the truth, and that's a fact, Jack, man. You know, it's right in black and white. That's the law. And if they do try to challenge you, they're going to. Let's just put it this way: they will try, but I think they'll fail. I really do. Especially Coop. That guy will. And you're right. There's a list of them, man, and it keeps on going. It's like spiraling out of control. Every day I look, I see a different person on there talking about John and Michelle. You know, don't you have your own lives? Is there a better life that you can live? You're going to make videos. Do it on other things. You know, don't do it to harass people. You know, it blows my mind of how much abuse everybody's been taking from this guy and from, you know, his minions, man. It's just crazy. You know, it's just it blows my mind how America and the law could allow this to happen after all this time, and it's going on and on and on. But I think honesty is the best policy, and what you're doing is cool. You know, and I think everybody else should really think about doing that. Because I think
it doesn't cost you anything. It costs you about 5 minutes to go on there. You get a nice piece of paper from the patent
it's
office.
going to cost him. It's going to cost him a lot.
It'll cost him just even if you file for it, you protect your own rights. But in so doing, his lawyer has to do work, and his lawyer's going to bill him for it. It's an easy way to give it back to him and let him know. You know what? We don't approve of this, and you preserve your rights to potentially get a lawyer and to go further down the line with this, or you could do nothing at a point, but you at least save your rights to do it. And it costs you nothing to do other than a couple of minutes on the internet. That's why I did it. So
what do you think he's going to say about all this, though? I'm asking you. How do you think he's going to try to twist this?
I think it's one of two things. Either they're going to ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah, ignore it, right.
I think they're going to ignore it. I think this is going to be that's the whole Halesverse. Like, I'll call people out by name, like Jay Jip. He has a show. He's looking for content. Talk about this, Jay Jip. Tell him why I'm wrong. You know, Squid Pro Quo. I don't hate Squid Pro Quo. I actually like her show. It shows very informative about certain stuff. But Spawn Troop was on there, and he has me blocked on his YouTube channel, and he doesn't want to hear from me. You guys talk about it. You know, talk to me about why this is a cockamamie legal theory, why I'm detached from reality, why I'm deluded, why this Jeremy Hales is not trying to use a trademark as a weapon to censor people that he doesn't like to hear from. You know? So this is crazy. This is, and Monica makes a great point. This is like Democrats in California with the Stop Nick Shirley Act, lying thieves trying to keep their criminal behavior hidden. This is Jeremy trying to keep his behavior hidden. He was like a thief in the night in January filing this trademark application, probably, you know, in my opinion, because he realized that the Lanham Act was a weak claim and it was going to get dismissed, and it did get dismissed. And so he was trying to revive it with that, but he got dismissed before he got his trademark. And then he has it now, and he's going to go send it to social media companies, to YouTube, to this place, to that place, to trick people into saying that he has some type of legal authority. Because, you know, when you get to those legal departments, they say, okay, well, he's got a piece of paper. We can't do anything about it. They'll take down the content. And then the content's gone, and he's able to shape, the internet for a year or 2 years while the case is pending. and then you have to go out there and get an affirmative court order that says what he did was wrong, and then send it to all back to those companies to get your media put up. If you're a journalist, that's crazy. If you're a commentator or anything else, imagine if people in society could get all certain words, certain things removed from the public record.
Oh my God.
That's 1984, man. This is authoritarian.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the bigger issue is this, okay? And I don't know about the trademark lawyer at this point, and you could say if I'm delusional or detached from reality, but I'm giving Jeremy Hales' trademark lawyer the benefit of the doubt. I didn't mention him on the show at all. I'm not going to mention him. I don't want people to harass him, and nobody on this chat, I think, would harass him. If anybody's going to harass him, I think Jeremy would send people to harass him to make it look like I did. I've had people do that before. Dinesh has done that. Other people who I've covered have done stuff like that. You mentioned so-and-so, and then they got harassed. Well,
that's something Iran does.
Iran does. Iran's doing that right now.
Yeah,
they're making fake AI videos. Yeah,
they say that they're squashing us, but they're not. And President Trump said this yesterday. He said that these people are such liars. They'll agree, handshake, sign papers and whatnot, but then they'll walk outside and they'll tell the media that that they never signed anything. It's you know what I'm saying.
They're liars. They're liars.
Yeah, it's all war games with them, man. They're lying to their own people because, well, let's not get into politics.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that, but it talks about authoritarianism and the ability to take language, censor language, but also censorship is things going forward. The erasure of history. Okay, and anybody who understands the power of history is what gives things meaning. American history, we have 250 years in America. It means something because we're here for 250 years. Yep. All those times. That's why it means something. That's why you celebrate birthdays and anniversaries and big milestones, because history means something. When someone like Jeremy Hales can get a piece of paper under false pretenses and use it to erase history, it becomes a big problem. Now, I'm not going to say anything about the trademark lawyer because I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. He might be just doing this as a job, and he doesn't know Jeremy's a bad dude. But Randy the Pocket Rocket Shocket gets no such quarter from me. Randy Pocket Rocket Shocket and the meter that never sleeps. This is where Randy Pocket Rocket Shocket should be on notice. A client may be clueless, but a lawyer is supposed to be the adult in the room. From the outside, it looks like GERM keeps wandering into the legal woods with a frying pan on his head, while Shocket walks behind him with an invoice pad, nodding solemnly if this is all very serious. Maybe Randy does not have the heart to tell him, or maybe he does not want to. Perhaps the Pocket Rocket has discovered that GERM's legal fantasies are a renewable energy source, and every dumb theory can be converted into another round of fees. And there they are, the Pocket Rocket and the Sea Hag, Doreen. We get paid by the hour. What do we think of this picture? Does this picture look realistic? Is this a realistic picture right here? What does the audience think? Is this a realistic picture?
No.
No?
I mean, the faces, yeah, but the body tones and stuff, no.
You don't think that she looks like a sea hag?
Well, no, I mean, she does look like a sea hag, but what I'm saying is sometimes AI just doesn't do it right. She doesn't have a body like that, and he doesn't look like that either. You put about 100 pounds on him, and I'm just messing around. She is a sea hag, man. I had problems with that lady as well, man. I think I posted something under one of your posts on Facebook, and she goes, it wasn't mean or nothing, but she goes, "Do you know who I am?" She started that shit on Facebook with me. I said, "You know what? I don't care who you are." I said, I'm gonna, that's my right to open my mouth, and she backed off. But they try to bully you, man. Everybody. They're big bullies, man. All of them. And I don't think too highly of bullies at all, man. Not one bit. And it keeps on going and going. I think Pocket Rocket Shocket is just for a meal ticket. I really do. I think he's going to take his money and run when this is over. to be honest with you. I mean, he's making money, but I don't know. Money ain't everything. It's not. You know, you
So
got to think about your happiness and pride. Doesn't people have pride in themselves anymore? You know, I mean, that's just the way I think, man. I don't
that's
know.
that's your opinion, and it's
Yeah.
my opinion too, right? It's a fair question. When a client repeatedly mistakes the courthouse for a personal revenge machine, and counsel, Pocket Rocket and Doreen, keeps fueling the engine, observers are entitled to ask whether the lawyer is offering sober legal judgment or just mining the client's delusions. And there's a very strong argument with a lot of history that Randy's there just mining GERM's delusions. Rule 11 is the line. Federal Rule of Civil Procedure, Rule 11 requires legal claims to be warranted by existing law or by a non-frivolous argument to change the law. It also bars filings presented for improper purchase, such as harassment, delay, or needless increase in litigation costs. A trademark complaint designed to punish journalists or critics for accurately naming Jeremy Hales should trigger immediate Rule 11 scrutiny, not polite concern, not judicial patience. That's what we got in Fed 2. People on there for a year, right? On a Lanham Act. How the hell can you have a Lanham Act? Scrutiny. If a lawyer signs a pleading pretending that ordinary criticism, commentary, news reporting, or nominative reference is trademark infringement, then courts should ask hard questions fast. Lawyers are not supposed to be vending machines for a client's tantrums. If they are truly officers of the court, that title should mean something. If not, then they are no different than one of Littlefinger's brothel whores. And Littlefinger's the guy in Game of Thrones who owned all the brothels. Luthmann has every right. But if he tries to use trademark on Jeremy Hales or related branding to stop critics, journalists, defendants, commentators, or public watchdogs from naming him, that should be the day the court drops the hammer. The first courthouse filing that turns his trademark gimmick into a censorship weapon should be Sanctions Day. It should be met with motion to dismiss, a Rule 11 safe harbor letter, fee demands where available, and a serious discussion of bar consequences for any attorney who signs off on the theory. Courts have enough real disputes. They do not need another Halesverse content script dressed in federal question clothing. Trial by combat exposed the truth. GERM likes the performance of battle more than the battle itself. He likes the posture, the noise, the audience, the drama, the little legal props, and the illusion that he's always one filing away from victory. But when the fight becomes real, he looks to jump ship. Should I play the video, Bearded?
Yeah, man. Go for it. We want to see it. Who wants to see the video? Give it one. Watch this. All one.
Ah, come on, you cockless cow. I have her. Come and get her.
Fast.
That's the scene. And You know, that's what it is. It is what it is with the GERM. He is a coward of a person, right? And you know, that's why I made the Theon Greyjoy comparison to the beginning of the article, and that's how I'm going to take it home. This is the end. First it was lawfare. Now it's trademark law. Next week, maybe he tries maritime law because someone said shipwrecked in a live stream. Jeremy Hales can trademark a brand. He cannot trademark public accountability. He cannot trademark criticism. He cannot trademark newsworthiness. He cannot trademark the right of journalists to identify the subject of a story. He cannot trademark his way out of Fed 2, trial by combat, or the public record. GERM's favorite toy is not a sword. It is a pacifier with a trademark sticker. And if Randy Pocket Rocket Shockett carries it to federal court as a weapon against protected speech, the judge should take it away and sanction the grown-ups who pretended it was real. So that's the story. And, you know, that's the story that we wrote. And that's where we are. Okay? And that's basically Jeremy Hales trying to trademark his name to use as a weapon, right? A weapon against anybody who might say something. And Ray Bonecrusher used a good question. How can a real journalist be able to use YouTube when English can get your video taken down or demonetized? And that's right. And Ray, I said this from the beginning. I was like, you know, when this whole Jeremy Hales thing first started, they knocked out my YouTube channel. I got them back. But it's like, why am I going to fight for this thing against this guy and his thing when I can go to other outlets as a journalist to be heard that aren't going to silence me? You know, I'm working on YouTube because I like YouTube. I like the community. I like, you know, a lot of the people that, especially the people that are on this chat, you know. And the problem becomes he's filed this trademark as a way to get, you know, as a weapon, right? I don't think anybody can't see that he's going to get a piece of paper from the government, that he's going to turn around and he's going to say, I have my name trademarked. And then he's going to file something with the YouTube legal department saying that Lisa Lee and Robbie Kesey and Rich Luthmann and everybody else, who else? You know, anybody else, you know, Leslie, anybody else that says anything that he doesn't like, people he doesn't like, and he's going to try and get their channels taken down. But it's not just going to be on there. It's going to, the channels will be gone. It'll be and the things, so there won't be anything in the future, and he'll try to revise the past. And that's the crazy part about this. That's the crazy part about what he's trying to do. Now, the second part of the show that I want to do, and we're on for a long time today. We did an hour and a half going through that first stuff because we had a lot to talk about. But
I opened my mouth a little more than I did last time. That's why.
It's okay. The second part, and we'll be done well before 3 o'clock. So if anybody's worried about going too long, we'll be done well before 3. The next part is that Jeremy Hales, or his lawyer Randy Shockett, filed 3 documents with the court in the last couple of days. And one of them was a response to my request for reasonable accommodations. I have a judge, Judge Hinkle, who has said that I am detached from reality. Now, this new filing not only supports the fact that I'm not detached from reality, but it also goes against what the judge said. And so this filing actually is one of the greatest filings I've ever seen. This might be the best piece of legal writing that Randy Shockett has ever put together. And basically, I'm asking the entire Halesverse, all the people that support Randy and support GERM, to explain this filing, because I'm going to get on it and I'm going to ask you, Bearded, about your thoughts. And the people on the chat are going to say what they think. And I want the other side to explain this pleading, because I think this might be the greatest piece of paper that he's ever produced. Why? He spends the entire time basically agreeing with me and saying how wonderful I am and disagreeing with the judge. What do you think about that, Bearded?
That's crazy. And he had to tell the truth, I guess. Maybe he likes you under wraps. Maybe he's in love with you. Who knows?
I think he's in love with me because every time I put in a piece of paper, he gets to do 19 or 20 pages. In the past 3 days, he put 50 pages into the court just about me. You got to figure that's $10,000 worth of legal work just about me. Not to mention put in with Lisa Lee, and with Michelle Preston with that deposition. Not to mention all the other crap that he puts in. Just me alone, I think in the last 3 days is $10,000 worth of legal work. I am a money maker for this guy, right? I'm a money. This is Bearded's picture. I wanted to put that up there. We'll do a review before we go to the next thing. I'll show everybody all the pictures.
Do you like it? Put ones up.
So tell me which ones you like. I got to put them up. Here's the pocket rocket and Leatherface. Oh, they're dressed up in Game of Thrones clothes. Okay. Then we have. Oh, here's another one. We got a good one here. That's the imp. That's the media imp. The Jeremy Hales media imp. Okay.
Hey, you did it right this time. You have the proper dot on her face.
That's right. Media imp.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we also have the Dragon Rider, Robbie Kesey, riding dragons. Yeah, we got to get him to do dragon riding to his outcalls. I'm going to talk to him about that.
We'll do a GoFundMe for a drone for him so
we'll get him a dragon drone.
Around. Yeah.
How cool would that be? How cool if we have to go to court and Robbie becomes a witness. Like I get him as a witness for me, and we fly him into court on a dragon drone.
Oh, man.
Into Gainesville Federal Court. That would be a lot of fun. Or if we do trial by combat, if GERM doesn't, pussy out and not want to fight me, and we do a big fight in Newport Richie, and he fights me and I fight him, we get Robbie to fly in on a drone, a dragon drone.
Get the old paper nunchucks out.
That would be the way. That would be the way to do it. So we got that picture. Then we have the judges in the case. The Westerosi judges. I put them in Game of Thrones gear. I think they look. I think actually Bolitho looks really good in this outfit. He looks. I put him in House Stark. See House Stark.
I like that picture. I think that's.
He looks
cool.
good. He looks good in that leather. He looks pretty cool actually.
Yeah.
A cool judge. And then I got Hinkle with a big chain around his neck. I don't know. He kind of. I wanted to look menacing. So
I like the bow tie too.
Yeah, that's his role. That's how he rolls, I guess. Yeah. And then we have GERM and who we compared him to, Theon Greyjoy. And they both want to play with their spears, but the spears get confiscated for both of them. They're little legal toys. So those get gone. And so then we have the GERM himself in his dungeon that he created for himself. Because that's what he's done. He's put himself in a dungeon. Nobody really likes him. His stories are getting old. Nobody, he's pissing off a lot of people. So
how long was he with his girlfriend there? I mean, he was with her for a long time, and
there she is.
Mean, like all this stuff is not worth it, man. It's not worth losing your family, your girlfriend, everything over this. It's not worth it, man. I still baffles me, this whole thing of how it could keep on going and going and going.
Yeah.
My opinion, man.
Then we have King Richard, first of his name, right there. And I'm ready to go. Anytime he wants to do the trial by combat, I'm ready to go. He pussied out, but not me. I didn't pussy out. And then finally, the last thing we'll show everybody is the specimen of the very important trademark that Jeremy Hales wants to trademark. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the distinctive trademark that is on par, Jeremy believes, legally with the Coca-Cola logo, the Nike swoosh, McDonald's logo, the Burger King logo. This is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Right there. That is what Jeremy Hales is seeking to trademark. So you don't understand the distinctive trademark that is. That is how distinctive is that? Do people think that this is a distinctive trademark?
I'm taking a screenshot and I'm going to post it on my thing. Oh, no, I can't. I can get in trouble for that, I guess. Posting it.
It's a trademark.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. So I took a screenshot of it.
Yeah, but so that's where we are with this stuff. And so next thing we're going to go to is this court filing. And I'll just set it up. I filed a motion for reasonable accommodation. The reasonable accommodation I want, the only thing I really want, to be honest with everybody, is for them to email me when something gets filed from the court, get a court email, so I know that something came from the court, and not get these things in the mail. They're sending it paper mail, they're killing trees, and I get it weeks later. I get like a week later. They put it in Gainesville. It's got to get all the way down to South Florida. It takes like days for it to happen. So something can get filed. I might not know about it. And I just want to be on the same footing, because a second that something comes out, Shockit gets an email. How come I don't get an email? I just want an email. It's a reasonable accommodation that I want. Now, I'd wanted that from the very beginning, but then they started doing stuff and they made it worse for themselves. And the big one was Judge Hinkle said that I was detached from reality. I had made a situation to the court where the filing wasn't uploaded, and I called the court, and the court clerk said, we don't have it. Try the Gainesville State Court. I'm like, oh, I sent it to you. I have UPS that sent it. No, we don't have it here. Well, I got worried because I had UPS, a common carrier with all their evidence showing me that it arrived. And I also know from previous chats and previous media that Jeremy has confirmed as true that they have a fly on the wall. They have somebody inside the courthouses. So I was wondering if it got delivered to the courthouse and somebody threw it into a waste paper basket, which would be a federal crime. It would be a very, very serious issue if that were to be happening. Now, I didn't allege that a federal crime had occurred, but I had alleged that the facts led me to want to investigate further. And the judge said that it was delusional for me to want to investigate the fact that there was a fly on the wall. So I filed this motion to put that before the court to say, no, I want a reasonable accommodation for these reasons, because I don't know if things are being intercepted. I have a guy that calls me paint chips. He says that I'm crazy. You say that I'm detached from reality, Judge. I don't think I'm getting the stuff, timely or on time, where things might be disappearing. And they're saying, the other side's saying that they have people on the inside. All that put together, the combination of those factors makes it pretty reasonable for me to ask the court to give me some accommodations to make things better. And that's the basis for this motion that I filed. And that's the basis for this response. And I'm going to share it right now. This is the response that Randy Shockett put in. And this was filed on the 7th, 2 days ago, late at night, in the district court, the Northern District of Florida, Hales versus Preston and Luthmann. And this is plaintiffs, Jeremy Hales' response in opposition to defendant Richard Luthmann's motion for reasonable procedural accommodations. I'm going to start reading this because there are important Easter eggs here. Now, the big thing that people have to understand, this is 19 pages long. So you're getting paid by the page here. You're getting paid by a lot of time. I don't know. How much do you think the Shockett charges per page? $100? $200? Right? If it's $200 a page, right, that's $4,000 for this, right? If it's $250 a page, that's like $500 for this. For $5,000, I mean. They put in 3 different documents the last 2-3 days. That we're talking over $10,000 to answer my reasonable requests to the court. And actually, Jeremy Hales admits that my requests are reasonable, based on the factual reasonableness at least. He argues against it, but he makes admissions that make it impossible. That's why I challenge, GERM, if you want to directly, or your chief imp, Piglet, or Tug, or Shizzy Wiznut, No Nut, or Coop, or any of these friggin' people to talk about this and explain, why I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. Plaintiff Jeremy Hales respectfully submits this response in opposition to Luthmann's motion for reasonable procedural accommodations. Defendant seeks extraordinary relief, including additional time, liberal construction of filings, courtesy electronic service, and advance notice of procedural defects based on his pro se status, claimed mental health limitations, and the court's recent characterization of one of his assertions as detached from reality. The relief defendant seeks is neither reasonable nor supported by law. Pro se litigants receive liberal construction of their pleadings, but are not exempt from procedural rules or must follow the rules. However, defendant is not an ordinary pro se litigant. He's a disbarred lawyer with extensive litigation experience, including civil and criminal matters in federal court. His claimed impairments do not warrant the procedural immunity he requests, particularly where his filings demonstrate sophisticated legal argument and strategic manipulation of the judicial process. So that's what they're saying. I am doing sophisticated legal arguments, and I'm strategically manipulating the judicial process. Now, we have the audience here, Bearded. Does anybody think that Jeremy Hales' lawyer, Randy Shockett, has strategically manipulated the legal process? Does anybody think that happened? Do you think that happened? So tell me about that. How do you feel about this, Bearded?
I like a Palomar. Do I have to say any more? That's what they're all about. They're all about lining their wallets, man, and making money off each other. I've seen it. You've seen it. We all seen it. And I don't know. I don't know what to say, but I think he's out of his freaking mind, to be honest with you. And what was that? What was that thing? Tortious intent, something like that.
Tortious interference.
Yeah, that's what is going on with them big time. They try to. This is what you're saying right now. They're trying to kiss your ass right now. It seems like to throw you off your pursuit of your legal matters. That's all I see. That's what I've been seeing throughout this whole thing. I think they're kissing your ass, but by saying nice things about you and shit. But it's the truth. They can't. But they're going to try to use it and twist it for their benefit. Believe me, he's not doing any of this.
Let's
nice
read this. He's not trying to be nice because he's saying that it's sophisticated legal argument. That's what I like. But he says strategic manipulation of the judicial process. Well, aren't you paying lawyers to do strategic manipulation of the judicial process? That's what he's saying. That's what he's basically saying. Strategic manipulation. So he's saying that I can do what a lawyer could do. That's what he's arguing. That I can do sophisticatedly argument. I can strategically manipulate the judicial process. That's what he's trying to argue.
You can't, though. That's the thing.
I don't have any. The court should deny the motion because the defendant is not established entitlement to disability accommodations under applicable legal standards. Pro se status does not excuse compliance. Defense litigation conduct demonstrates capacity to litigate without potential accommodation. And granting the relief would prejudice plaintiff and undermine orderly case administration. That is rich coming from Jeremy Hales. That he would be prejudiced and it would undermine orderly case administration. These guys exist to create disorder in the court so he can monetize off. Okay. Statement of facts. Defendant's legal background and federal litigation history. Defendant Richard Luthmann was a former attorney admitted to practice in New York and New Jersey. Operated his own law firm at the beginning of 2010, 2017. Defendant was charged in the United States District Court for the Eastern District of New York with wire fraud conspiracy, extortion and collection of credit conspiracy. Defendant pleaded guilty to both charges. Senior United States Judge Jack Weinstein, who wrote the book on evidence, sentenced defendant to 48 months on October 15th. Weinstein's statement reasons noted the defendant had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, substance abuse issues. Also observed defendant's crimes were bizarre and ruthless. While the abuse of his status as a lawyer, statement of reason documented defendant used his law license to recruit co-conspirators, registered fraudulent companies, facilitated bank fraud, and extorted a victim at gunpoint in his own law office. Now, I'm not even going to get into this, but all that's not true. None of that is true. Okay. And the best part is the government even admitted that when they say that the guy got extorted, I wasn't even in the same county. The guy that got extorted was extorted in Staten Island, and I was in Manhattan, and everybody knows I was in Manhattan. But the best part is they try to paint me, the feds tried to paint me as someone who ran the Italian and Chinese mafias from a strip mall. I was like some type of mobs person. I was like a super mobster, a lawyer mobster. They had no clue what they were fucking doing. And there actually was an article in the New York Post. Actually, let me find that article. I'll put that article up for everybody to see because that is actually a very important article. But we'll come back to this. But that article is, let me post. Here we go. I'm going to put this one up. This one will be what we put up. Let me go on and take this off. This is a pretty fucking hilarious article if you really like this. Let's put this onto the stage. Okay. So this, get rid of that, is the New York Post. And this is from 2018 in my trial. Judge sick of mafia references at trial combat lawyers hearing. That was me, the trial by combat lawyer in New York. You know, that's the picture. And the fact is that this is like they got laughed out of court. Their whole theory, the government's whole theory, was that I was some type of crazy mobster. This was actually a lawfare, and it's being addressed with the government right now with the pardon office, the United States Pardon Attorney. But what we have going on here is they said I was a mobster, and it got laughed out of court. Well, Randy Shaka doesn't want to correct any of this. The Staten Island hearing Staten Island attorney accused of extortion, fraud, kidnapping. Right? They didn't say extortion, fraud, or kidnapping. They said credit. That was the thing they said, a credit and things like that. So there was no kidnapping. Okay, they talk about gunpoint extortion. That never happened. On Wednesday, started sounding like an old Abbott and Costello routine. Who's a made member? Brooklyn Judge Jack Weinstein asked prosecutor Moira Kim Penza as she attempted to argue that Richard Luthmann and his co-defendants operated a scrap metal fraud scheme under the protective shadow of mafia muscle. None of them, she responded. The answer only exasperated the already on-edge judge. They can't be connected to an amorphous concept of mafia, Weinstein shot back, growing tired of the who's on first routine. Weinstein grew even more impatient when Penza was unable to say which organized crime family the government thought to be involved. Defense attorneys for all three men have said the mafia claim is bogus. Padula's lawyer, Gerard McMahon, said his client's not connected, family not connected, is a complete red herring that will taint the trial. Luthmann, Padula, and others accused of defrauding companies looking to purchase valuable recyclable scrap metal. They filled orders with cheap knockoffs instead. While Luthmann once graced the front page of the Post, brandishing his sword and shield after he challenged another lawyer to a Game of Thrones-style trial by combat duel, allegedly set up shell companies, Padula was recruited as muscle after he'd bragged about family connections to organized crime, the prosecutor said. Prosecutors claimed Luthmann once lured a co-conspirator to his office where his defendant allegedly pulled a gun and claimed the unnamed man owed $10,000. Documents additionally accused the eccentric attorney of having Staten Island Democratic exec Kevin Elkins whacked after Elkins barred him from entering a fundraiser. I have a body count. This is great. Luthmann released a $1.5 million bond, will be allowed to use the law library. This is the courthouse. It's not as if he'll write notes to people in the margins of the books, the judge said. It's a good place for him to be. So there we go. Luthmann screams innocent, the highest mountain in Staten Island. This is what happened. They smeared me about being a mob lawyer. And then I'll probably do a show on this whole thing, on another date, so I can tell everybody what's going on. But, that's what we got. That's what we got. So let's go back to Shockett.
That'd be a good show.
Keep that in mind while we read some of the stuff that Shockett says. Okay?
That'd be a good one.
It'd be a real good one. Bizarre and ruthless. Defendant's New York license was suspended. The grievance committee was to strike his name from the roll of attorneys. Blah, 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 blah. Defendant's conduct in this case. Defendant has appeared pro se in this case and not registered filer. He states his mailing address is 4199 Los Altos Court, Naples, Florida. And you know who states that as well, Pocket Rocket? The PACER system for the courts, federal court filings with the clerks of courts, the state of Florida, Department of Motor Vehicles. I can give you, the list goes on and on and on. Of course, that's my address, you moron. His address is Richard Luthmann of Prothon, yes. June 15th, the court issued an order overruling defendant's objections to magistrate judge order. Called as the defendant's objections included a baseless suggestion the clerk's office mishandled the original objections, perhaps because opposing parties infiltrated the clerk's office or perhaps bribed the clerk's employees. The court stated the assertion is detached from reality. Defendant thereafter filed the present motion seeking liberal construction, additional time, courtesy electronic service, advanced notice of procedural defect before sanction. Defendant asserts his concern about court infiltration was based on a YouTube transcript referencing a fly on the wall who allegedly had real-time knowledge of judicial activity. Understand this. Fly on the wall. If the fly on the wall exists, or if I believe that there's reason for the fly on the wall to exist, then my beliefs are not detached from reality. I have a basis. Wouldn't you say so, Bearded?
Yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah. You never know with these people, dude. And what, he admitted it too, didn't he? That he has somebody on the inside. So, I mean, take it for what it's worth, what they say. And you never know with these people, man. Yeah. You never know.
Now, there's conferral. This is important because Leslie's going back and forth with Shockett about conferral and whether they conferred or not. Mm-hmm. I sent them a conferral saying, I'm about to file this thing. Please advise if you're going to do this. He's trying to state all this stuff, and he's saying, they didn't consent to the relief. Fine. Legal standard. District court has broad discretion to manage its docket and procedural rules. That's fine. Federal court has inherent authority, controls the affairs, and it's a reasonable response to specific problems. But pro se pleadings are construed liberally, and pro se litigants have to comply with the rules, and pro se litigants have relaxed pleading standards, right? But it does not courts to rewrite deficient pleadings, excludes noncompliance. Okay, these are all the rules. That's the rules we're working on. Defendant does not establish entitlement to disability accommodations. The defendant requires procedural accommodation based on claimed mental health and cognitive impairments. Citing bipolar diagnosis, Judge Weinstein's statement of reasons, the court's characterization of assertion is detached from reality. Well, there's no bipolar diagnosis. I didn't cite any bipolar diagnosis. In Weinstein's papers, there was a bipolar diagnosis that was erroneous, and the court even noticed that it was erroneous. But I never put in a bipolar diagnosis. I put in a factual and legal finding by Judge Jack Weinstein that claims that my activities are bizarre and ruthless, and that I couldn't be trusted to represent others, let alone myself, in a court of law because of my bizarre and ruthlessness. Additionally, the detached from reality came from Judge Hinkle in this case. That's what we got going on here. So let's see. Does anybody have questions so far? Here we go. Chockett regularly misleads the court. He's a serial misleader. I want to put some comments up. All right, we'll go back here. Let me read a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit. Defendant's mental health history does not compel procedural accommodations. It's not my mental health history. It's about findings made by Judge Jack Weinstein, who is a judge and who was the judge that wrote the book on evidence. Weinstein could have been a Supreme Court justice. That's how well he was regarded. He's dead now, but he was a great judge. The existence of mental health diagnosis does not automatically entitle a litigant to procedural accommodations. That's right. It doesn't automatically. But when you have a finding by Jack Weinstein, that can't be ignored. Defendant cites Weinstein's 2019 statement of reasons, noted the defendant undergone a forensic mental health evaluation, being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Weinstein also found the defendant competent to stand trial, accepted his guilty plea, sentenced him to 48 months without finding the mental health issues precluded the defendant from understanding or participating in proceedings. That's right. The level of competency to be able to sit there is much different than the level of competency you need to be able to be a lawyer or be able to have due process to be able to understand the proceedings against you when you have a lawyer. In that case, Luthmann had a lawyer. I had Arthur Idala. Arthur Idala is one of the best lawyers in the country. You know who he represented? Harvey Weinstein. He represented Lawrence Taylor. He represented a lot of other people. Okay, big time criminal defense lawyer. He represented Steve Bannon. Right, he's a big time criminal. I had one of the best lawyers in the country. So yeah, I could sit there if I'm there by myself. That's one thing. But I wasn't there by myself. I had one of the best lawyers in the country. Okay, you don't address that. Weinstein's statement says that the statement of the case illustrates the danger of knowing mental health problems in practicing lawyers was made in the context of sentencing for serious criminal conduct, wire fraud and extortion, not as a finding the defendant lacked capacity to litigate. Untrue. The danger of annoying mental health problems practicing lawyers. No practicing lawyer, Weinstein said, could have these type of mental health issues and be a practicing lawyer. That's what he said. That is what he said. Okay? Capacity to litigate does not address the fact that I was represented by counsel in the criminal case and not represented by counsel in this case. Okay? Doesn't talk about that at all. Document the mental health issues compounded substance abuse, noted the defendant was remorseful, proved substantially during incarceration, was thankful for mental health treatment. Defendant does not claim that he's currently incompetent, unable to understand a proceeding, incapable of representing himself. No, if I was those things, incompetent, unable to understand the proceedings, or incapable of representing himself, I would ask for a fucking lawyer. That's what I would ask for. Judge, hire me a fucking lawyer. That's what I would ask for. This guy's a moron. To the contrary, his filings demonstrated sophisticated legal reasoning, strategic use of procedural rules, and detailed factual investigation. Okay, well, now he's beginning to flatter me, and flattery will get you everywhere. Tell me more. What has Luthmann done? He has cited federal cases, engaged in conferral correspondence, drafted declarations, passed exhibits to support his arguments. This is not the conduct of a litigant who lacks functional litigation capacity. I never argued that I lacked functional litigation capacity. I argued that a judge said, Jack Weinstein said, that I may be so batshit crazy that even if I had functional litigation capacity, I still should nonetheless be, should be said to give good legal advice to others, let alone myself, right? So that's the issue we're dealing with here. This is, if the judges rule, okay, Luthmann's fine to go forward, then they've just bought, they must have bought all the consequences of Luthmann in this litigation. Anything that happens going forward that Luthmann does, he doesn't have a lawyer that he's able to put stuff in, think strategically, file things with. Well, what if Luthmann does something batshit fucking crazy because he's so fucking mad professor, and because he didn't get the reasonable procedural accommodations? He wants to feel as if I'm being treated fairly. And if I don't feel like I'm being treated fairly, I might have to do something because I'm not being treated fairly. You know who said that? Donald Trump. He said that in 2015, 2016 at his at the Republican debates. He said, "I will run as a Republican as long as I'm treated fairly." Right? If I don't believe I'm being treated fairly, I'm going to do what I have to do. Well, Rich Luthmann is going to, respect the court and do what he has to do in the courts and put in sophisticated legal reasoning and strategic procedural rules and detailed factual investigation, as long as he's being treated fairly. As long as I feel like I'm being treated fairly, then I'm going to play their game. But the second I think that I'm not being treated fairly, that there's a fly on the wall in the courthouse, that documents are disappearing, that I'm not getting shit till days and weeks later, that Shockett's gutter serving me, well, then I'm going to have to play a different set of rules. I'm going to have to be like Donald J. Trump, the president of these United States. If I'm not being treated fairly, then I'm going to do what I have to do. And God knows I'd rather go down saying, you know what? I'm doing what Trump said to do. This is the way that Trump says that you should act. When you're not being treated fairly, you got to stick up for yourself. That's what this whole motion's about. What do you think, Bearded?
Yeah, you're right. Hey, I really think that you shouldn't have to go through all this shit, man. Why are they making life so hard for you about something simple like this? I don't get it. I don't understand. It's like you got, throughout this whole thing, you got to fight for every little thing, man. It's crazy, dude. It really is crazy, man. Blows my mind. Every day I think of this, man. Like, you'll say one sentence. Lisa will say a sentence. John Cook will say a sentence, regardless. And right away, it's on Facebook. Right away, they're making a show about it. And it blows my mind. It really does. Of how miserable are these people's lives? To try to make other people's lives hell, and make difficult. That blows my mind, man. Why are people like that? Why? That's my question. I don't understand why a human being could actually act like this towards other human beings, and it just still blows my mind, man.
My theory is two things, and I said it before in the show, Bearded. Jeremy Hales, I believe, has narcissistic personality disorder.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Hales has a cult leader following, so he has cult complex at the same time.
I know.
So he has those two, in my opinion, very crazy things going on in his mind, where he's a narcissist, so no one can contradict him, and he's a cult leader, so he can't, for his cult, have anybody be seen to contradict him. So that's how it is. And so, the ecosystem, the polymop, everything else, that's what creates the Halesverse. It's its own world. This Halesverse is his own world that he's created, but it's partially a product of narcissism and partially product of cult, issues, cult psychology. So that's my feeling. That's my 5 cent, psychiatrist.
I mean, like in my situation, my big thing throughout all these years, throughout 20, 25 years, it's been recovery through Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous meetings. I actually owned a sober house years ago before my motorcycle accident. I had a sober house out here in Meriden, Connecticut, man. I helped hundreds of people out when it comes to mental issues or whatnot. And it still blows my effing mind how people could act so ruthless to other people. You could tell me, this, that, he's a narcissist, this and that. It's hard for me to compute in my mind people that are that miserable in life that they have to go outside their life towards other people to make them look better. And that is a narcissist. You're right. You're right. I just answered my own question for myself. You're
Monica
right.
has her own take. She says, "My opinion is very simple. German and his lawyer are assholes, plain and simple."
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I think Monica's got hit the nail on the head.
Well, we all know that, and I know that too. I'm just trying to be nice today,
Yeah, I know. So let's go back to reading some of this. We're gonna get done before 3. Let's see.
We could do it again, man, next week or something. Don't matter.
Yeah, we're gonna do next week. We're gonna finish this one off because there's a whole bunch of fun stuff we gotta do.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about this next. Okay, so remember this: detached from reality. Remember this. Remember the judge said I was detached from reality. The court's detached from reality characterization should not support accommodation. Defendant argues that this court's June 15th order characterizing the assertion as detached from reality demonstrates impaired reasoning and supports procedural accommodation. This argument inverts the proper analysis. The court's statement was a factual finding that defendant's suggestion of clerk's office infiltration or bribery was baseless or unfounded. So that's baseless or unfounded, right? Detached from reality, baseless or unfounded. The court did not diagnose defendant with litigation impairment disability and rejected a frivolous argument. Okay, so he's saying the argument's frivolous. Okay. Defendant's current response seeking accommodation based on the court's criticism attempts to convert a substantive ruling on the merits into evidence of disability. That's improper. Now here it gets better. Moreover, defendant himself disputes the court's characterization and argues that the concern was not fabricated from nothing because of the YouTube fly-on-the-wall transcript. A litigant cannot simultaneously claim that his reasoning was sound and that the court's criticism of that reasoning proves he's disabled. Defendant's inconsistent underlines his request for accommodation. So, what is the fact that he doesn't talk about here? Not fabricated from nothing, the fly-on-the-wall transcript, he cannot claim that the reasoning was sound and that the court's criticism proves that he's disabled. The court says that I'm detached from reality, right? But I have a basis for my things. So therefore, if I have a basis for the facts and the court says I'm detached from reality, either the court was wrong in its factual finding or the court thinks I'm crazy. One of the two. So what he's saying here by not saying it is that the court was wrong. Jeremy Hales' lawyer, Randy Shaka, just says the court is wrong. Let's keep reading. Defendant's YouTube transcript does not demonstrate impairment. Okay, so I'm not impaired. That must mean that the court is wrong. Jeremy Hales is saying Hinkle is wrong. Defendant attached a transcript of a YouTube discussion which participants referred to a fly on the wall who allegedly had real-time knowledge that the judge is currently responding to filings. Defendant argues this shows his concern about court infiltration was not imaginary. Okay, so Luthmann's not crazy. The court is wrong. The transcript does not support defendant's theory. At most, it shows third parties engaged in speculation or exaggeration at court. Wait, that's what we call an admission. The transcript does not support defendant's theory. So I'm arguing about whether this evidence supports the facts. I'm not saying the evidence shouldn't even be considered. I'm not saying the evidence is false. He's saying the evidence doesn't support the theory. He's saying the fly-on-the-wall transcript is true. Do you believe this is like a bombshell, Bearded? He's saying that the fly-on-the-wall transcript is not false. What do you think about that?
Why did he put that down to begin with? I don't get it. Yeah, he just fucked himself.
Yeah, he said that the fly on the wall he's fly on the wall is true. So they didn't deny that the fly on the wall was true. They just said that it doesn't support the theory that Luthmann is crazy. It supports the theory that Judge Hinkle was wrong. He's saying the fly on the wall is true and Judge Hinkle is wrong.
Wrong. Yep.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So we'll keep going. That's pretty nuts, right? This is pretty crazy. And this is the stuff I want the Halesverse to explain. Tug, explain this. Piglet, explain this. Shizzy No Nuts, explain this. Kook, explain this.
Still twist it around somehow, like I said.
Let them. I want them to explain because the more they twist it, the more it says that there's only one or two things. Luthmann's crazy, and it's not crazy. Or the judge is wrong. So this says the judge is wrong. The transcript does not support defendant's theory. At most, it shows third parties engaged in speculation or exaggeration about court activity.
Catch 22, man.
Speculation or exaggeration about court activity in the public square makes it not imaginary. It makes it something that I could consider. If somebody goes online and says something, you believe what they say. Unless they come and say, don't believe what I say. This is all satire. This is a joke. Jeremy Hales doesn't say this is a joke. Mr. Coop doesn't say this is a joke. They say that they're having commentary. They're reporting things. Defendant concedes he doesn't know the identity of the fly on the wall, does not know whether such a person exists, and is not asking the court to sanction anyone based on the transcript. His reliance on vague YouTube commentaries of basis for alleging Kirk's officer's conduct demonstrates poor judgment, not disability requiring accommodation. Oh, poor judgment. So disability and poor judgment. So the question then becomes, Luthmann's already demonstrated poor judgment in Jeremy Hales and Randy Shockett's opinion, but there's no accommodations necessary because we want him to continue going on with the poor judgment that Judge Weinstein said Luthmann exhibited. Not disability in the sense that he with a lawyer, that he doesn't understand what's going on, but judgment in the fact that given understanding everything, this guy is too batshit crazy if we don't give him some extra accommodations to jump to conclusions. He's saying that I jumped to a conclusion about the fly on the wall because people said that there's a fly on the wall. Yeah. I believed what people said was true. So he's saying, number one, this is poor judgment. Number two, the court owns the poor judgment. And number three, the court is wrong about the fly on the wall. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Importantly, defense ability to locate, transcribe, and cite this YouTube discussion demonstrates research capacity, factual investigation skills, and strategic argument construction, all consistent with his claim that he cannot litigate without special procedural safeguards. No, not at all, because I can go back and I could try to find evidence of marijuana in Randy Shockett's desk drawer at his office, in his law office. And I can go try to find that. I'm searching for it right now. And if I have these skills that demonstrate capacity, factual investigation, strategic construction, they can't complain if I get a picture of marijuana in his desk drawer and make it part of a legal argument, make it an exhibit. Or I get pictures of Doreen Turner-Inkelis doing something. Or I get pictures of Judge Hinkle doing something. Or I get pictures of somebody else doing something. Okay, poor judgment. I need accommodations. No, you don't. Just no accommodations. But he can find things. He can construct arguments. We shouldn't even think about whether or not we should allow this guy to have emails sent to him so he doesn't go crazy that he's getting things days and weeks later. Oh, okay. That makes perfect sense. But am I making a decent argument?
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. But it's a catch-22. They're screwed no matter what decision they go with. You know? That's the way I look at it, man. Right?
Yeah, and Kimberly, this is what I'm trying to get to here. So this is a good question because I'm not asking for a medical evaluation or a medical finding.
Right.
I'm asking for the court to make a judicial finding based upon the court's ability to manage its own docket, which all these rules that Shaka just cited a few minutes ago, things might go a lot smoother for everybody if Luthmann got sent emails when shit got filed rather than to get things a week later and think that people are gutter serving him and people have it out to get him. I have a feeling that people have it out to get me. I have people on YouTube saying they have people inside the courthouse. I have people online that insinuated certain judges are being bribed. I have a feeling that people are out to get me, and it's not a bad feeling. It's not something that's not based on facts. It might be crazy. It could be detached from reality. But if you give me some procedural safeguards here, if you give me a little bit more that I can get things in real time and not worry that there's things being hidden, and I know that things aren't being hidden, then maybe I don't feel as distrustful of this entire process, and I don't have to pull the Donald Trump move and say, I'm not being treated fairly, therefore, I'm not going to continue with this process where I'm not being treated fairly. I'm going to go do what I have to do within the bounds of the law, like Trump. I'm going to be like Trump, and I'm going to do what I have to do, like Donald J. Trump, the 45th and 47th president of the United States. I'm going to go Trump. I haven't gone Trump yet. I haven't gone full Donald Trump yet, but I will. I have a picture of Donald Trump right next to me, right? Donald John Trump. He's a person that I believe people should emulate their lives on. So maybe I go emulate my idol. That's where we're going with this. That's what these people are going. And the judge is a William Jefferson Clinton appointee. And he hates Trump and he hates me or the group that I'm with. That's called MAGA or America First, that believes that we should put America first. But enough of the politics. But politics are here because of who the people involved are. And that judge hates MAGA. He was on Joe Biden's prayer group. He prayed with Joe Biden, presidential prayer group. And yet Joe Biden commanded human sacrifice, aborted babies, euthanasia type situations. The God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Joseph, the God of Noah, the God of King David and King Solomon, the God of the prophets, the God of Jesus Christ does not command child sacrifice, does not command human sacrifice. That's Baal and Moloch. And so you have to understand how I feel about human sacrifice, okay? You have to understand how I feel about someone who claims they have a God that commands human sacrifice. And the president of the United States, Otto Penn Sleepy Joe Biden, makes this person who's a judge member of the presidential prayer group, and they command human sacrifice. You're not worshiping the God of Jesus Christ. You're worshiping Baal. So if you need me to make it clear that there are Baal worshipers on this case, then I'll make it very fucking clear. And that's where we're going to go with this. So I digress. Let's go back to the thing. I'm heated, Bearded. I'm heated because of this.
I could tell.
Pro se status does not exempt defendant from procedural rules or entitled to advanced cure opportunities. Defendant requests the court provide a meaningful opportunity to cure procedural defects before waiver, forfeiture, dismissal, contempt, or sanctions are imposed. Court grant reasonable additional time for filings. These requests are not supported by 11th Circuit governing pro se litigation. Listen, I'm asking for it. Donald J. Trump. You don't know unless you ask. I'm asking for a whole bunch of shit. This guy's given me nothing so far. He won't even let me get emails from the court. Okay, and I don't like the president who appointed him. I don't like the president whose prayer group he was on. Okay, I don't like the God that they prayed to in that prayer group that supported human sacrifice, abortion of babies. Okay, and I don't think he likes me. I don't think he likes America First, and I don't think he likes MAGA. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. If I think I can be treated fairly, I'll continue. If I don't think I'm being treated fairly, I'm going to go Donald J. Trump. That's all it comes down to. The president of the United States. Pro se litigants follow the federal court rules of civil procedure. Okay. 11th Circuit held pro se litigants to comply with the rules. I'm trying hard. I'm filing motions. I'm asking the court to do things. Okay. Defendant Tran will be called the liberal construction. Pro se litigants not excuse failure to comply. Okay. I'm trying. Doing my best. Pro se litigants are not exempt from procedural rules. Trying. I'm doing my best. Defendant is asking the court to do precisely the case forbid. Advance notice of every procedural defect, grant automatic extensions, referring to the sanctions, dismissal. Defendant had multiple opportunities to cure. No, I'm asking for a level playing field. I want to be treated fairly. People get instant notices by email from the ECF system. Why can't I get a notice email to let me know something got filed on the case? Guess what? I get it in the Middle District of Florida. Today, the magistrate judge recused himself in one of my cases in the Middle District of Florida. I got that email immediately. I don't have to worry about gamesmanship. That judge actually has a spine. He's a very good judge. That judge said, you know what? There may be an appearance of impropriety. There may not, but I'm going to get off this case just because of the justice. I care about justice that much, and that the appearance of justice satisfies justice. Justice must satisfy the appearance of justice. That's Justice Gorsuch at the Supreme Court. This type of situation doesn't. Detached from reality. No, we can't send you an email. Fuck you, go away. That's what this is. And you couple it with it's because of who I am. The class of people that I'm with, my political class of people. I believe in America First. I believe in MAGA. I believe, and this separates me from a lot of those people, I believe that Jesus Christ protected Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. Yeah. I believe the Holy Spirit protected. I believe that God sent Donald Trump to save America. I do. That's what I believe. You put me under oath, Randy, I'll tell you that. And I'll go down the list for all the reasons, biblical and historical. Courts are not required to provide advance notice or cure opportunities. Defendant requests that the court identify filing defects at reasonable clarity so that defendant may correct them where the correction is possible. court imposing waiver, contempt sanctions, blah, 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 blah. 11th Circuit confirmed court's refusal to consider pro se on timely memoranda, blah, blah. Listen, do I care if he gives me this? Not really. I asked for it. I would love to have a chance to cure. I would love to get, but I really want to get a notice on things. I want people to email me stuff so I feel like I'm being treated fairly. Do I need an automatic extension? Why did I ask for that? Yes, I do. Because when it's emailed to Randy Shockett, he gets 14 days or 21 days or 30 days to prepare. When it's mailed to Rich Luthmann, he gets that number of days minus 5 or 6 or 7 days that the mail that gets to come to his house. You have to pay to go on to Pacer. You get an email sent to you for free. And you get mail, you have to pay money for mail to come to you and kill trees. Send me a fucking email. Defendant's legal background weighs against special accommodation. Not an ordinary pro se litigant. Juris Doctor, Master of Laws, decorated law practicing. Yes, I'm also, if you take what the government says, I'm the most dangerous man in America with mafia ties, and I know how to kill you with my fucking pinky. So you better hope I don't come up to anywhere near where you are, if you trust what the FBI says. And that's not this FBI. Kash Patel's FBI is a great FBI. The FBI that we have now is phenomenal. The FBI we did have under James Comey, that scumbag, was terrible. And that's these people. They advanced arguments. So you want to believe their arguments? Let's put some of that stuff in. Let's put that stuff in. Okay, let's put it all in. Let's put in the whole thing. Because I'm going to tell you of an important scene in a movie. And I'm going to get through this, and then we're going to sign off because it's almost 3 o'clock. But there's a scene in a movie. You remember Red Dragon with Hannibal Lecter, bearded, the one with
I remember Hannibal Lecter. Yeah,
Hannibal Lecter was Silence of the Lambs, but before Silence of the Lambs,
right?
There was Red Dragon, and Edward Norton was the detective that actually caught the FBI agent that actually caught Hannibal Lecter. And it comes to the scene where they're taking him away. And they're saying, I don't know, I just can't figure out how you beat me. I'm smarter than you on this, on that, on the other thing. And Edward Norton looks at him and says, you're fucking crazy. That's what gave me the advantage. Right?
Yeah.
So if these people are trying to say that this guy has all these skills, that I have all these skills, but I'm also fucking crazy. He calls me paint chips on air. He says this. He said, I have a judge that says I'm fucking crazy. I'm detached from reality. You got another judge that said, you got to watch out for this guy. Am I Hannibal Lecter at this point? Are they comfortable with Hannibal Lecter running around? That's what they're saying. No, Luthmann, we're gonna go like this. No, see no evil, hear no evil, because Luthmann, can't do anything wrong. Even though all the signs are there that I should have some special accommodations, because if I feel like I'm not being treated fairly, I feel like I may have to take this into my own hands legally, right? Legally within the bounds of the law. Let's figure that out. Put that in your pipe and smoke. Attorney proceeded pro se is not held to a different standard than other pro se litigants. Defense legal training is relevant to assessing whether his filings demonstrate functional incapacity requiring accommodation. Detached from reality. He just said it. Randy Shockett said that the judge made a factual finding that I was detached from reality. I think that demonstrates a functional incapacity, unless what he's saying here is that Judge Hinkle is wrong. Right?
Yes. Yep.
One of the two. Have some cases, lay in pro se litigants, attorney in pro se context. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an attorney because of what I put in to the court and showed everybody. I'm not learned in the law because I don't have the capacity to hold a legal license. To be held to the standard of an attorney, you have to have the capacity to hold a legal license. I have felony convictions, multiple, in state and federal court. I am not entitled to hold a legal license anywhere in the United States. Maybe I'll get one in a foreign country. I have an African people that might want to give it to me, or Asian or South American, because those people love me. I'm loved around the world. I'm loved around the world. I might have diplomatic immunity. I come back as a consular officer from another country with diplomatic immunity, but not here because the Comey, FBI, and deep state attacked me. Well, let's keep going. Here's these cases, pro se litigant. This is how he runs up the bill. He cites these cases. Oh, party proceeding pro se, attorney Coney's fees, blah, 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 blah. Skill, attorney pro se, attorney to legal construction, possess skills, distinguished from lay litigants. He's saying that I have the abilities of an attorney. That's what he's saying. He's being very complimentary. No, Luthmann is as good as an attorney. He's better in many ways than an attorney because Luthmann can do things that attorneys can't. I can go and call a judge. I can call a judge a liar. Larry Foreman can't because Larry's an attorney. He has judicial canons and ethical rules. I don't have those rules. I can reason just as good as any other attorney and then say whatever the hell I want because I don't have those ethical rules. Is that what he's saying? Okay, then I'll take that.
Yeah.
Defendant's litigation conduct demonstrates capacity to litigate without special accommodation. Okay, I can do all these things. Sophisticated legal research and citation, strategic use of conferral processes, detailed factual investigation, preparation of declarations, knowledge of jurisdiction, service requirements, and procedural safeguards. Yes, I know all this. So I say still to this day I was never served. And this asshole, Jeremy Hales, and his lawyer admitting, I know federal jurisdiction, service requirements, and procedural safeguards. What a bunch of fucking idiots. So they're saying how great I am. They're saying that I'm great. I know what I'm doing. So either I'm crazy or Judge Hinkle got it wrong, but Luthmann shouldn't get anything from the judge. Okay, manipulation of the judicial process. Defendant engaged in witness tampering, threatening letters to his wife, violated a protective order, distributing wiretap materials, bail was revoked. Actions of willingness to disregard court orders when strategically disadvantageous. Listen, if I'm being treated fairly, I'm fine with the court's orders. When I'm not being treated fairly, I'm going to take the actions I need to take within the bounds of the law. And it will begin with motion practice. It will begin with motion practice. If the courts ignore my motions wholesale, then I know that I have to get a different court or a different forum. Grant relief would prejudice plaintiff under my orderly case administration. Here we go. Courtesy electronics oppose unjustified burden. Oh, so sending a fucking email that they send already is an unjustified burden. What a fucking asshole. That's just an asshole move. Do you think that's an asshole move, Bearded?
Hit ones. If that's an asshole move, yes, I do. Yes, I do. It's crazy though. Why should you have to go through all this bullshit? That's what I'm saying, man. And then they're licking your boots at the same time, but saying you're nuts. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm great, but I'm nuts. It's like I'm right, but I'm wrong. I'm detached from reality, but the judge is wrong. So it is what it is.
I don't know why I don't get it, man.
Oh, we've got to stop for a second. Hold on. Lisa, not meaning to interrupt, but I'm going to ask for prayers for a child right now. Let's pray for the intentions of everybody here. I'll pray right now. We're going to stop and pray. I'm praying online. Okay? I'm going to pray online for all children everywhere. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Lord Jesus Christ, protect the children. You said, let the children come to me. Protect them from the evil in this society. Protect them from those who worship at the altar of Baal and Moloch, that don't worship the one true God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Joseph, of King David, King Solomon, of the prophets, and of Jesus Christ. In your name, amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. I'll say that prayer any day, twice on Sunday. You want to depose me, I'll say that same prayer. Save the children. Save the children. Protect the children from the human sacrificers. Protect the children from the Baal worshipers and the Moloch worshipers. Right?
The monsters, man. There's monsters out there that are abusing our children.
There are a lot of people. Thank you for all the prayers.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the prayers, everybody. Great prayers. We'll pray. Anytime you want to pray, we'll pray. Amen.
Heck yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Anytime we want to do prayers, thank you. All right, let's
That's
go back
a good
to
one.
this.
We could do that on our show now. Nobody else
We'll
does
pray.
it.
That's that we do. We'll pray. Amen.
Yeah.
I got no problem praying. All right.
Me either.
Curtis Electronic Service, undue burden, blah, 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 blah. It provides the defendant with better notice than the federal rules require. You know what? Maybe you should give me better notice than the rules require because, you know what? It doesn't lead to me jumping to conclusions that I got to serve because Randy Shotkin, you have a history of gutter serving people. Your idiot client has a history of doing crazy, stupid shit. You're saying that I have a history of doing crazy shit when I think something's not what it is. So it all adds up. You're a moron. An automatic extension would delay resolution. You know what? Automatic time extensions would make sense. You get something on Monday, I don't get a letter about it till the next Monday. That's 7 extra days. That's not fair. Do you think that's fair? No, because you're a person who care about fairness.
What if it's on a holiday too, man? That's another 3 days.
It could be longer than that. It could be Monday, Tuesday before I get it.
It's like getting locked up on a holiday weekend. You don't get out.
Yeah.
You know?
Advance notice requirement create procedural gamesmanship. I don't want gamesmanship. I want to be treated fairly. You're the one who's doing procedural gamesmanship. You've done it with Fed too, with all the defendants that were dismissed. You do procedural gamesmanship every day. You did it in bankruptcy court the other day. All right, you're doing it now. You're doing it again here. You're doing it in Levy County, in state court. You do it in federal court. You do it wherever you go. With Randy Shockett and Jeremy Hales, any case that they're in together. One with Leslie Federicos, he's doing it there. Every case you do procedural gamesmanship. Do I ask for procedural gamesmanship? Maybe, because that's what creates fairness. If you're going to do gamesmanship, I want it too. All those things that are alike should be treated equally. That is equally in regards to the legal purpose. That's equal protection of the laws.
Right.
Equal protection of the laws, 14th Amendment. Requested accommodation exceed disability-related entitlement. I don't want a disability-related entitlement. I want a judicial entitlement based upon the management of the court. When I have a scoundrel, I want to be able to fight the scoundrel like a scoundrel. I don't want to have to say, okay, I got to fight him with the Queensberry rules when I know he's going to bring in brass knucks and friggin' glass on the tape. I don't need that. I'm going to fight you the way that you fight me. If I got to go to the gutter, I'll take you to the gutter and I'll kill you. If you want to fight Queensberry rules, if you want to fight first blood, if you want to go, I will do it. If you're going to try to kill me, and there are killers out there, do not think that these people aren't killers. They're killers. That's what they do. They're killer people. They're definite killers. They're Baal worshippers. They're Moloch worshippers. They're killers. They want to see death and destruction. That's what they do. If I have to fight a killer, I'm not going to pull punches, and I want to be able to do that. That's what I'm asking the court. It's asking about title this, title that. To enforce procedural rules consistent with 11th Circuit. Yes, enforce the rules. Let the court make rules to make this thing a fair playing field. That's what we got here. What do you say? It's not established entitlement with ordinary accommodations. I'm a trained lawyer with extensive litigation experience. That's what I am. Trained lawyer, extensive litigation experience. So I'm right. The judge is wrong, right? When the judge said detached from reality. That doesn't even factor into the equation. Mental health doesn't entail accommodation. Criticism does not entail accommodation, even though the court was wrong. Okay, that's what he's saying. He's saying that the court is wrong. Blah, 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 blah. Jeremy Hales requested order.
Breathe, man, breathe.
Hey, I'm done with this fucking thing. You know, I really, we're done with this thing. All right, let's go back to this. Let's just talk. Bearded, talk for a second while I catch my breath.
You got to calm down there, buddy. You know, I know it's stressful, but you know, it's not worth having a heart attack over. You know what I'm saying, man? Yeah, things are all right, man. I'm just trying to get my life back on track. It's been a 10 years of total hell out here in Connecticut, from being homeless to getting myself out of that. None of the homelessness I suffered was through drug addiction or alcoholism, because I've sobered the whole time. But I had to live in a hole, you know, in the ground in a tent with my two dogs for a while because of situations out here, corruption, and there's a bunch of shit with the police out here and stuff. It's crazy, but basically what happened is I couldn't find an apartment for my two dogs with me. So I said, screw it. And I went in the woods, man. I'm not going to lose my dogs. And I did that for a while. And I'm starting to get my life back on track. My brain's finally coming back. Well, today, man, it's about to explode with all this court stuff. But, you know, I'm happy to be on your show, man. I'm happy to possibly make a difference in somebody's life, for them to see how I went through what I went through, all the suffering, the pain and suffering I went through, and just to let them know you could get through it. You know, you don't have to suicide or any of this stuff. Yeah, shit. I feel bad about myself a lot of times, but God saved my life, man. God picked me up and brushed me off, and you know, I'm in this apartment. I've been here for close to 3 years. I just signed another lease, and but my ultimate goal is to get down south with you guys to live out there somewhere. I'm working on my credit rate and shit right now too, so I'll be able to buy a plot of land down the line. I'm trying to make all this happen within this year because it's not too. Connecticut is a shitty state to live in, especially where I live. You know, it's all.
Don't get me started about Connecticut. Oh my God. Whew.
Oh my God, dude! I do videos out the window sometimes, and when you hear fireworks going off, that's cool. I like watching them and stuff. But then you hear gunshots in between, and then all at the same time. This is like on a daily basis outside there. I mean, it's crazy. I go out. I go out on my electric bike once in a while, and it seems like every time I go out, I end up in a fight with somebody. You know,
that's not good.
somebody trying to screw you over, somebody trying to rob you, somebody trying to scam you out of money. You know, and I consider myself a decent dude. You know, I'm calm, cool, and collected. But when I run into situations like that, I'm not calm, I'm not cool, and I'm not collected. And I just have to really, really watch what I say, what I do at all times, because it is fucking brain injury I had. You know, I had 24 staples in my head, man, and I was on life support for a long time in a coma, but I got out of that, and I'm just trying. I'm just so grateful. I am ever so grateful I met a bunch of nice people like you guys, man, because you guys are, God picked me up, but you guys are picking me up as well. Like when I go in these live chats, I talk to Lisa, Gabe, Tori, everybody. It just gives me a little hope. It makes me feel good about myself, and like for instance, like with John Cook and shit, and Michelle, and their baby girl, she's beautiful, man, and I just love that family, and they're not what everybody says about them. They're not that way at all. I know them personally, and whatever they say on this shit is a bunch of lies towards them. It really is. Nobody's perfect, but these people ain't perfect. But don't freaking harass them. It's ongoing, and it seems like it's never going to stop.
Yeah.
And now I see why the judges. I also see why the judges are sort of spanking you too, Richard, because you know, this is a shit show, but you're making it a shit show too. You're doing exactly what they're doing.
That's right.
And-
I am not going to restrain myself from any method
Yeah.
that they use.
Yeah,
Right?
and
I'm
there's
not going to
nothing
bring. I'm
wrong
not
with
going to
that.
bring a knife to a gunfight. I'm not bringing a knife to a gunfight.
No.
If they kill everybody, I'm not taking prisoners. That's just what it
No.
comes down to. If their job
I-
is to kill everybody, I will not take prisoners. I don't
Yeah.
care. There's no Geneva Convention in my game if they don't play by the rules. So fuck them.
Nope. And I believe in that too, man. Like I got in a fight like 4 years ago out here. I got jumped in a parking lot, and I ended up beating the shit out of one of them real bad. I punched him like 30 times straight in his face, and his face looked like a pumpkin. I got arrested for defending myself out here in Connecticut. That doesn't make no sense. But that's corruption for you, and I've been going through that for years out here, with the police and everything. They're not all bad. I have some cop friends. I actually have some cop friends that drop dog food off to my dogs, man, once a month here.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, canned food, blankets, pillows, they bring me all kinds of stuff. So, but my ultimate goal is I need to buy another vehicle, and I've been saying I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna say it now. I'm gonna probably be doing like a GoFundMe or to raise money for a vehicle, because it's so hard on disability. It's so hard for me to afford a car again. I'm just trying, and I've been saying this for like 2 years now. Should I? There's people out there that need help more than me. There is. Um, and I'm the type of person also. I would much rather give somebody a $5 bill slip it to him, and go on my merry way, and not say anything about it. I don't. I'm not the type of person that goes out for clout and anything else. I'm not. I'm not like that. All I'm saying about myself is I'm 56 years old and I'm an honest, good dude. And I never try to hurt anybody ever. And God did that for me, Rich. God really. I used to be a freaking maniac, man. You know, riding with biker gangs and shit all the time, getting into fights every week, stuff like that. But it seemed to. I think God had another idea for me when I got in that motorcycle accident because everything's slowed down now. Everything. I'm a lot mellower now, and I'm a lot more oriented on doing the right thing instead of doing the left thing.
So Lisa Lee is on fire right now. She's livid and angry, and she said tonight's show is going to be out of control. Lisa Lee, 10 p.m. tonight, East Coast time, is Two Lees in a Pod. So
as long as she's not mad at me, man.
No, you don't want to be the target of her anger. You don't want an
No,
Italian
I'm just
woman
kidding.
angry at you. Holy
Oh
shit.
no, I talked to her.
You don't want that. You do not want an Italian woman angry at you.
I've talked to her before. She's nice. She's nice. She's cool.
Yeah, but don't fuck with her. That's the point.
Oh.
These people. The problem with these people is they have not been the bullies. So what you got to do with the bullies, punch them in the nose. They have not been methodically taken apart by somebody that wants to take them apart yet.
No.
And Lisa, when I tell you, Lisa is going to methodically take them apart with this copyright claim because it's a fucking ironclad claim, and the second it goes in, it's going to be curtains for these fucking people. It's like it's bad for them. It's like terrible for them. It really is. So that's the issue. Now, I want to do two things tonight up here because already almost 3:15. I need to go.
Man.
And so what we're going to do is I'm going to recap what we did today, and then we'll say our final goodbyes. Then I'll close with what we started with which was the trial by combat thing that GERM chickened out from.
Oh, before that, close with Our Father too. Right before
we'll
that.
do Our Father if you want. We'll do an Our Father. Now, I'm Roman Catholic. I know that people pray in different ways. I pray the Catholic prayers. So when you get
I'm still coming to Florida to be baptized in a Christian. So
good. When you pray on your own show, you pray your own way. I'm going to say the Our Father the way I say it, just so people know. You don't have to be worried. You don't have to be upset. But I do things the way I do. You want to do it now, Bearded?
Yeah, just a quick one.
All right. Name of the Father, Son,
God up above, you saved my life. You saved a lot of other lives, and the people on here, we're called the Warriors, and we need your help and assistance getting through this craziness in all our lives right now. And that's my prayer for this whole situation, that it finally slows down and it stops for once, because it's not good for anybody at all. It's not good for a human being to go through all this stuff. And with that, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. But lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
He's from the Northeast, guys. Bearded Fisherman.
He's from the Northeast. So what we're going to do real quick before we leave, we did a whole bunch today. If you missed it, go back. I filed to stop Jeremy Hales trademarking his name so he can weaponize it against me and you and journalists and commentators and anybody else. You can say his name. He doesn't have a magical piece of paper to erase it from the internet. For people he doesn't like, say it. You can do it too. Go to my article that I looked at today. Go to luthmann.substack.com or flgulfnews.com, flgulfnews.com. You can go to either one of them, and it shows what I did, and you could do the same thing. To file a 30-day extension to try to object to Jeremy Hales' trademark. Okay, we also went through legal papers today that show how delusional Jeremy Hales and Randy Shotgun are, that they basically told Judge Hinkle that he's wrong. They said I'm either super skilled or I'm super delusional or both. What do we know? But this is it. This is it. Germ knows everything that's going on here, and screw him. I really don't give two rat's asses. Really do not give two rat's asses. So, all right, I'm going to play now the video, right? The video that Jeremy Hales accepted trial by combat. Obviously, we didn't do trial by combat. I'm here. Germ, you can call. Shock it, you can call. I accept trial by combat any day. Let's go. Let's go do it. We'll go to the court. We'll ask them to sanction it. So if I accidentally kill you, then nobody goes to jail. All right? But that's the point. Everybody, thank you for being here. I love you. God bless.
Hey, Ray Bone Crusher, we all love you, man. Hang in there, brother. All right? We all love you, man. We love everybody in the Warriors.
Why not? We can add a QR code and they can tag it.
This is what I imagine paint chips like as he runs his big fat mouth. And then when he gets in a real situation, you know he was crying when he got served, right?
I heard.
Yeah.
I heard about it.
He cried when Dinesh had him served.
Yeah.
He literally shed tears.
Yeah.
Shed tears. He cried.
He probably had a temper tantrum
Talk
like a
about
child.
bipolar. My goodness.
He definitely has mental issues. Something wrong with him.
Oh. Scooby-Doo, where are you? By the way, again, I've stated this once already. If he files a motion for combat, we will not disagree. We will not say no. We will say yes, because there is nothing that I think he needs more in his life. It's all about him. It's all about him, right, George? Okay.
Didn't the judge say that it was absurd?
We're not going to disagree. We're waiting for it. We're waiting for it.
I haven't read the...
Better know who your opposition is.
The
before
multiple pages of ridiculousness that he filed. Are we sure it's not in there?
Say what now?
Did he include it in the 40-some pages of ridiculousness?
I don't even know which one you're talking about. There's been so much.
His latest motion.
I don't know. I didn't read it.
It was 40 pages of ridiculousness. I didn't read it either.
I actually have a job. You know, I actually make money.
Yeah, he's too busy taking advantage of the elder.
He's even his own father. Can you believe that?
Sick.
This is how I imagine that bipolar freak. And when he gets served, I'm online. Somebody knows who I am and where I'm at. Okay, let's keep going.